1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Can run the 40 faster than Tom Brady. He got a perfect score on the Wonderlic. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
And did not have... but Jaden McDaniels and Klay Thompson are throwing punches at one another. They got to be separated. Now someone's got Rudy in a headlock. It's Draymond. Someone get that dude in a headlock. Two teams have to be separated. Jaden is hot. Rudy got tackled to the floor. Somehow Draymond just got Rudy around the neck from behind. Like, what is that?
Oh, man, what was that? Thank you, Timberwolves Radio. It is Maggie and Perloff. Good morning. Maybe you missed this one. Maybe you didn't. Draymond Green going full WWE, but not fake, for real. You got Rudy Gobert in a headlock as the Warriors and Timberwolves had a dust-up. Perloff, what did you make of the fight?
You're not allowed to do that in WWE. Is it a headlock? It's a chokehold.
Chokehold,
yeah. So I think the really scary part was that basically Rudy Gobert bear hugged Klay Thompson, and then for some reason Draymond thought that was an excuse to grab this guy and choke him. I mean, unless I'm missing something, like Rudy's breath was cut off. That's why it was scary. This is bad in the sense. Here's what I'm worried about. What's the NBA going to do if you let Draymond do this? If you don't come down hard on this, then what's he going to do next with this guy?
What are you talking about? Draymond's been doing stuff like this for years. It's always been up to the line and then crossing it. And what are they going to do? They're going to suspend him. And here's the thing, right? There's probably going to be a few suspensions out of this. There was a moment where this fight is happening. And listen, the Warriors and the T-Wolves now have a thing kind of going back and forth. Draymond Green and Rudy Gobert have a history of calling each other out on social media, right? Okay, so let's get some background on what may have led to Draymond just flying in seemingly out of nowhere to, I guess, help a teammate, but just goes right for Gobert and puts him right in the chokehold. And this was after Draymond Green punched Jordan Poole in the face. Another amazing Draymond Green highlight that we have forever. Rudy Gobert tweeted, "Insecurity is always loud." Now, basically, this was about a year ago, October of 2022. So then Rudy Gobert in the final game of the regular season threw a punch at his own teammate, Kyle Anderson. You remember that? And Draymond Green tweeted, "Insecurity is always loud." They've been kind of going back and forth with each other. And this has now gotten kind of heated, this rivalry, I guess, between the Warriors and the Timberwolves. They just played each other on Sunday. T-Wolves won. Steph Curry got hurt. He missed this game last night. T-Wolves win again. But Draymond, I'm sick of this stuff. And even if you're the most staunch Warriors supporter, Perloff, and I know we're on in the Bay Area and everyone loves Draymond, but what kind of a teammate is this guy? And how much has he cost the Warriors as opposed to what he's contributed? Sure, you get the 4 titles. Fantastic, you get the 4 titles.
Yeah.
Cost his team another title by kicking LeBron in the junk. Definitely did. They would have won that series. Probably cost him another title because he essentially ran Kevin Durant out of town. He punched Jordan
But Durant
Poole.
was hurt, though.
No, they got into it. Remember where Draymond told him, you're just busy thinking about free agency.
Yeah, but I mean, they would have won that. Durant didn't blow out his calf. They win that title. And then Durant's never been the same. So you're saying that cost him future titles because Draymond pushed him out of town?
I think so.
Okay.
Because, listen, Durant did recover.
Right, but then the Warriors won without him.
Okay, they did. They won one.
Okay.
Would they have 6 titles? Would we be talking about the Warriors with Jordan's Bulls if not for Draymond and the antics? I mean, at some point, I know he's going to make the Hall of Fame and all of that, but at some point, you got to ask yourself, like, isn't this just getting old already?
Oh, I mean, first of all, it's been going on for 2 decades now. So
I know.
now you're sick of Draymond Green?
I've been sick of Draymond.
Is this a 2017 hot take? What? Of course you're sick of Draymond Green, but here's the problem. No one's ever stopped him. No one has really stopped him. The coach obviously has never stopped him. The organization doesn't stop him.
But they rewarded him.
They rewarded him. No one in the NBA is going to stop him because the enforcers of my youth are gone.
Yeah.
There's no Xavier McDaniel or Charles Oakley nobody. Draymond's big, but he's not 1990s NBA big. There are a lot of guys who would have killed him. Now there's nobody. He's basically an apex predator left in a pond full of guppies in the NBA. He's a great white shark against a bunch of trout. There's nobody's. Karl Anthony Towns was the one who had the angle to punch Draymond last night. There is no way Cat's going to do that in a million years.
No, that's not his vibe.
So Draymond knows I'm the only one who's crazy who's left in the NBA. I think that's a plus for the Warriors. I'm sorry. Every great franchise has a crazy guy. The Bulls with Dennis Rodman, the bad boy Pistons with Bill Laimbeer and Mahorn. You need that crazy guy. You can't be the Warriors without an enforcer.
Okay. Do you realize, though, and you've made this point to me off the air, and you've probably made it on the air, you are asking Steph Curry to do so much this year. I've called this the Last Dance Warriors. I think this is Kerr's last year. Could be Clay's last year. It won't be Draymond's. They gave him an extension in the offseason. But I think that this could be a last dance situation. Curry's going for 5 titles. Curry's legacy is on the line all the time. You know, Curry's the one who has a chance to keep moving up and up and up in the ranks in terms of all-time great players.
Definitely.
Clay, Draymond, Steve Kerr, they kind of are where they are. So you do stuff like this. What does it in effect do? Gets your butt suspended, puts more pressure on Steph. Always. This is like the guys who, when they write the checks they can't cash. Is that the statement? Like, you basically are being this person. You're putting this all out there. You're being the one who's unreasonable, irresponsible, all of that. And Steph Curry's the one who's got to bail everybody out. Because when Steph Curry got hurt and missed a season and Draymond was still there, they didn't even make the playoffs.
Yeah.
They got the 2nd overall pick that season. Draymond can't carry the team.
Can't carry it. Draymond is an average player who his skill is his toughness and craziness, right? Isn't that what he adds to the team?
But doesn't that put more pressure on Curry at all times? Because
No,
Curry's
honestly,
already, and Draymond knows this because Curry carries him, and that's allegedly why Draymond punched Jordan Poole, because he said something like, what's it like to be an expensive backpack for Steph Curry? Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Jordan Poole is obviously ridiculous, as this year has shown many, many times. But, yeah, of course, Draymond without Steph Curry is what? A 7th man in the NBA? He was a 2nd-round pick. He's a 6'5" power forward. He only works in this situation, but Curry needs this enforcer. You can't just have a guy running around hitting threes all the time. You need somebody. First of all, Draymond is a great rebounder and a great passer. He's unbelievable at that. But that skill is meaningless if you don't have a great scorer. This is like Marty McSorley protecting Wayne Gretzky. You need Curry being Gretzky. You need the guy who's a tough guy.
But doesn't he hurt Curry at times more than help?
What's going to happen here? They're going to suspend him for 10 games or less. And Draymond's going to be able to continue to do this. Does it really denigrate their championship odds this year?
Well, probably not because it's so early in the season. But I'm just talking about on the balance. Like, you could have done so much more winning if not for this guy who, again, you just said would be the 7th man on any other team. Like, it's so much ink spilled, breath wasted, suspensions handed out, all this for somebody who's never learned, like, that. Aren't you the guy? You need to be the complimentary guy. This is all about getting Steph more titles. Like, I don't know why he doesn't understand that.
I think that sort of downplays Draymond's role in the 4 titles. Because if you don't have Draymond, do you win those 4 titles? maybe you probably win a couple. I'm not sure if you win all of them. He adds so much to that team with his toughness. I mean, honestly, I don't understand this Warriors roster right now. If you take out Draymond, who are your big men? Who are you? And he's not even big.
Yeah, I was going to say, does he even count as a big man?
I totally don't understand this roster. Just like I didn't understand the Heat's roster last year. They seem very small compared to the rest of the West. I mean, the Lakers have LeBron and Anthony Davis, two gigantic players, and the Nuggets have 6'10", 6'11". The Warriors, all they have is Draymond, so they need him desperately again. I think that when has this ever hurt him long term before? Steve Kerr doesn't care. The NBA is probably going to slap him on the wrist. So he's this tough guy. He intimidates the T-Wolves. I think he ends up on top in this one.
I mean, he's lucky because Steph is so loyal to him. And Steph basically, I mean, how many guys, when you punch somebody in the face, and I know Jordan Poole is not like, winning any
popularity contest.
Teammate of the Year awards. But at the same time, how often someone gets punched in the face, right? Sucker punch. Let's call it what it was. Out of nowhere, sucker punch in the face. And the first thing the team does is try to admonish whoever leaked the video as opposed to admonishing Draymond. And then they ship this dude out of town, Poole, and they give Draymond an extension. It's amazing reward of, questionable behavior. And
I hate to say it, the mistake to me is that they gave Jordan Poole a contract because now it's been, I don't know if you follow Jordan Poole on social media. It's the biggest joke in the NBA, watching Jordan Poole ignore his coach. He's upset. He's the biggest. No, he's a gigantic knucklehead. He's not upset
about being traded. I think he's still salty about that. Yes?
No, he's just he's a lunatic. He does not care about team. He doesn't care about anything. Actually, is that why he's doing this?
Well,
because he's mad?
I always thought that he was salty about the fact that he got punched and then he was the one who got traded away.
No. So watch a Washington Wizards game. He will not participate in the huddle. He'll take random shots out of nowhere. No, I think he's just an idiotic player. I thought that was the narrative, and the Warriors seemed thrilled to walk him out the door. That's why they let Draymond punch him.
Okay,
right?
but think about it. If that punch doesn't happen, which all players, team has acknowledged, it threw off the whole season.
Right.
Could you have mounted another title defense last year? Now, maybe nobody was beating the Nuggets. I don't know. But you would have had the pretty big intimidation factor of coming into the playoffs as the back-to-back champs they did have. And, could they have rattled off another one?
I don't think so. Do you think that team with everybody intact, with Jordan Poole was confident, and Draymond, there's no way they were going to beat that Nuggets team. Every year in the NBA, we've gotten a new champion in the last 5 years. There's a lot of parity. I don't think the Warriors are so good that they're built. And this Last Dance vibe, the Last Dance Bulls were by far the best team in the NBA. Are the Warriors there?
Well, I think they're 6-6 right now.
Can you be in a Last Dance if you're not the favorite?
Well, remember, that Bulls team did start off kind of slow. Remember, Scottie Pippen was not playing, and then he demanded a trade. They were, I think, I want to say 9-8 or something. They didn't start the year off that great until they got super hot. So the first weeks of the season don't necessarily dictate whether or not you can obviously make a big run. But this Draymond situation, it's all on Steve Kerr. It's all on the Warrior organization. I mean, they've emboldened this guy.
Yep.
And I think there is a price to pay for that because he's going to miss 10 games or whatever it's going to be. And that's going to be fine. And Steve Kerr's going to defend him. And they're going to just say, all right, move on. But guess what's going to happen? They're going to go into the playoffs. Draymond's going to get into another situation. And because they don't nip this stuff in the bud, he's going to kick somebody in the groin. He's going to punch somebody in the face.
Step on Sabonis'
He's going to
chest.
step on somebody's chest. And he's going to miss a playoff game. And he's going to cost his team potentially down the road. So their attitude to this is hurting them. And it's been hurting them for the last 5 years.
But if he doesn't play like that, then he's not going to be Draymond. You can't have a watered-down Draymond. You either take the whole thing or you take nothing. What does a well-behaved Draymond do for the team? I think that would take away the whole edge of the Warriors.
Okay, but here's the thing. At some point, though, don't you have to mature as a player and as a person, quite frankly? At some point, I get your point where, you can have the furnace that either lights the whole building up and everyone gets warm or burns the building to the ground. But at some point, you've got to don't you mature past that a bit? Don't you realize, hey, I made some mistakes in the past. Maybe I shouldn't do that because it has cost my team at times.
It's never going to happen on this team because they embolden him. Yeah. They enable this behavior. It's never going to happen. And that's why they got to own all the shortcomings that they've had. Even I know they won 4 titles, but they should have had more because Durant shouldn't have left. They should have beat the Cavs. These things that have happened.
Real things.
They should have had a much better playoff run last year than they did. But, Draymond had to be Draymond. I don't know how, him being a good defensive player and good passer means he has to put people in chokeholds. I don't see how that's a correlation to how he has to play.
I think this is fantasy that you guys think Kevin Durant. First of all, how many seasons did Kevin Durant miss? He missed 2 full seasons, so those are a wash. I don't think that it cost him 3 rings. Kevin Durant, what has he done since he left Golden State?
Well, but if he was on the Warriors team, maybe it'd be a little bit different.
He almost carried the Nets to beating the Bucks by himself.
So he's had 3 seasons. The Warriors won. Did the Warriors win the title or the next year they won the title? They've won without him. I don't know. I don't think Durant is exactly a clean bill of health there.
Yeah, but think about it. Yeah. That was
maybe it cost him 1 title.
We've talked to like Michael Thompson about this, who's been a guest on the show. Clay's father, obviously. That Kevin Durant Warriors 2 seasons, those were the most, I forgot exactly the language he put, but those were the best teams he said he's ever seen. Better than Showtime's Lakers, better than the Bulls. This, and granted, his son plays for the team, but he's a former Laker, so it's not like, and does Lakers radio, so it's, not like he wouldn't defend the Lakers. I think with Durant still on the Warriors, you're talking about something much bigger, even with the Achilles.
Well, okay, so they lost that title to the Raptors because Kevin Durant got hurt. So they weren't going to win that one. Then Kevin Durant took 2 years away. Honestly, yes. Would they have won these 3 with Kevin Durant? Would they be 3 in a row right now? I'm not so sure. Just because who knows if Durant's healthy and Kevin Durant, is he Kevin Durant still?
Well, that's a different topic for a different day.
Yeah, Does he have to be? He's playing with Steph Curry. He's playing with other guys. That's the point, is that, we know Kevin Durant can't carry a team to championship by himself. But we do know that when he's with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and these guys, he's a finals MVP caliber player, and they lost that because Draymond Green couldn't control himself again.
Yeah. Well, Kevin Durant was in his prime. All that is true, but all these guys are past their prime. You think Klay Thompson is Klay Thompson anymore? Not really. I mean, basically, the only guy who it doesn't look old on that team is Steph Curry. I don't know how he's doing it, but now they're a one-man gang. None of the death lineup can play anymore except for Curry.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Do you like that? Do the Warriors need Draymond to play like this, and you just take the good and the bad, or are you sick of the antics? YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio is where you can watch the show. Twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. Benny is in the chat, said if Draymond would have tried that on Embiid, Perloff would have rushed the court. I guarantee you.
Absolutely. He would have drove to San Francisco. Forget about San Antonio.
Problem is, I don't think the Sixers have an enforcer either. I'm trying to think of that lineup.
PJ Tucker was that guy, and they traded
PJ Tucker was that guy. Now most teams have their power forwards are 6'6", 185 pounds. Nobody has an enforcer. Who's going up against Draymond in today's NBA? Is there anybody? Is there a single other tough guy?
Your PJ Tuckers or Jay Crowders. They're Marcus Morris. There are guys.
You know what? The Sixers do have a Morris twin. He can't hit the side of the barn with a shot right now. Yeah,
that's not why he's there.
But there's not a lot of those guys. Quite frankly, they're only on teams that are trying to win championships. The T-Wolves don't have guys like that.
Well, the problem is that you can't waste a spot on the floor now with guys who can't shoot. That's that's impossible in today's NBA.
Also, a guy like one of the Morris twins, they don't really come in and help you out. They start fights. They're instigators. I don't know if Morris...
Jokic really ended it with one of them.
Oh, did Jokic? Yeah. I mean, those guys are just poking. They're very Draymond-like. I think you need those guys, but you're right. It's hard to have them on the floor because you need 4 shooters. It's a LeBron model. You need LeBron and 4 shooters.
Totally. 855-212-4CBS. We get it going with Draymond. The antics last night, putting Rudy Gobert in a chokehold. Straight up. And he was gunning for Gobert. You could see he runs right in, straight for Gobert. This thing all started with Klay Thompson and Jaden McDaniels. But he goes right for Gobert, right in the chokehold. Steve Kerr's on the outside saying, let him go, let him go. 855-212-4CBS. A lot more to do, including some big news coming out of Austin about the Texas quarterback situation. We've got that for you. Updated college football playoff rankings as well. What was the big change? We'll let you know. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
upset in a fighting mood today on the Maggie and Perloff Show, thanks to Draymond Green.
By God, that's Stone Cold's music.
Draymond Green, if you missed it last night, for really no reason that any of us know except some Twitter beef, he put Rudy Gobert of the T-Wolves into a headlock. And, of course, nothing's going to happen to Draymond Green because nothing ever happens to Draymond Green. He's allowed to pretty much do what he wants. It is the wimpy NBA of the 2020s. He'll probably get suspended a handful of games and come back and do something crazy later in the season because he is, one thing for sure, he is a little bit unhinged.
You think? I'm somebody who's sick of the antics. Perloff thinks that the Warriors need this.
Yeah.
You got to take the whole Draymond, the good and the bad. Let's go to the phones, 855-212-4CBS. Shad's in Iowa. Good morning, Shad. What do you think?
I have Draymond's back. Everybody questions whether or not this guy is a good teammate or not. Mm-hmm. If I'm Klay Thompson and Rudy Gobert comes running up to me and puts me in a bear hug, I'm glad I have someone like Draymond that's going to come in and dust things up a little bit. I know you guys want to say that they would have won more titles if Draymond wasn't Draymond, but we don't mention the fact that Klay was hurt or that Steph was hurt or that Durant was hurt. I mean, those things happened too. It wasn't just what he did that cost them titles. And one other point,
sure.
He wasn't the one that started this scuffle last night. It wasn't like he just out of the blue ran up to Rudy Gobert and put him in a headlock. There was something going on that he didn't start, but he was going to finish it.
I know, but Shad, the thing is,
you need a player like that.
I get what you're saying, and we did bring up the injuries, but fair point. I think they definitely would have had one more title because if Draymond doesn't kick LeBron James in the junk, then they're definitely winning. They're up 3-1. So they're winning that one. But Shad, great points.
Well, I'm not 100% sure of that because I think that I understand everyone puts out on Draymond, but Steph Curry was not Steph Curry. He just missed the series before, or 2 series before with a knee injury. I think he's right. That was not a full strength Steph. Even at 3-1, I thought that team was teetering a little bit.
No one had ever come back, though. I mean, that they were. I don't think they're making history. Wasn't that a history-making moment from the Cavs?
No one did that
they
before.
weren't gonna. They were not gonna make history if Draymond wasn't.
But also, Steph could not be Steph that series, as I recall. So I honestly, if he was healthy, he wouldn't have needed Draymond.
So last night, though, it was Klay and Jaden McDaniels who get into it. They're holding each other's jersey, and then Gobert comes in to try to sort of wrap up Klay, but he's doing it around the waist, and then Draymond comes in and yanks him around the neck in a chokehold. And here's the thing, he was definitely gunning for Gobert. And may I just point this out? Nobody's throwing punches. Very rare, except for Draymond, quite frankly, in a practice to Jordan Poole. You're not really seeing Perloff a lot of punches. We talk about NBA fights. It's like, hold me back. Guys don't want to punch each other. And I never thought for 1 second that anyone was in any real danger until Draymond got there and escalated the situation.
Let's not call it a headlock, by the way, because
it's
a headlock's on the side. That was a chokehold.
In the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. We say good morning to the Weedos and the coffee drinkers. You guys are awesome. I'm glad Bogish is here too because we need the full force of the show. Jeff Howell asking, who would be the enforcer on this show if needed?
Pete the Body.
Pete's good.
Pete the Body.
Pete is taking over. He's doing management stuff this week, so he's not here.
Yeah, so we're if we didn't have Draymond, we'd probably get pushed around here.
See, I think Carlos has the military background, and as always, thank you for your service. I think Carlos wins this because he's got the training.
Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer.
That's true.
Yeah, I have done things I can't talk about.
This is exactly what we need out of enforcement.
I can talk about everything I've done.
Black sites around the country.
The world.
Go ahead.
Well, the problem with Bilotti is, on one hand, he has so much pent-up rage. He's just waiting for an excuse to get it all out. Mm-hmm. But I don't know what it would take to actually let him release it. So by the time he goes Draymond, 1 or 2 or 3 of us might already be dead.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Draymond wasted no time last night. Pete, I feel would need more poking to explode. And then by all those pokes are punches to us, we're in trouble.
Yeah, right. So it's like, you're gone, Perloff's gone, I'm gone. But if they lay a finger on EJ's head, then all of a sudden Bilotti is just like going totally loco.
And that means nothing to us.
Yeah, we're done.
Right. I think Carlos springs to action faster.
Carlos has to have the quick reaction time. Again, he's trained.
It's funny. I can't see Andrew Bogusch. I can not see you ever been in a fist fight.
Never once. I've only me and my brother have fought.
Okay.
You want to know why? Both of you two. Oh, EJ too. Can't hit a guy with glasses.
Well, the glasses
Carlos
are new
too.
for me.
You're wearing glasses too. I couldn't see you over there.
I've been in fights before, but not since elementary school.
Yeah, the glasses thing is tough.
I was
right?
wearing glasses in them.
You guys have never been in a bar fight in your entire in a drunken stupor throwing a punch at somebody?
I've seen bar fights.
You guys really?
I've been in the neighborhood of bar fights and realized that I need to step aside.
Yeah, I understand.
Let the real killers get at it.
Yeah, but a bar fight's like
EJ's documenting it.
I've been involved in bar fights that are like NBA fights, where it's not nobody's really hitting anyone in the chin. It's more like a hold me back situation. So I guess that doesn't even really count as a bar fight.
I was witness to a girl fight. I'm from upstate New York, and everyone's kind of tough there, and you got to be sort of tough. And how could I tell this story? A friend may have not been hooking up with someone else's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Okay. And then all of a sudden, as we're walking out of a pizza joint, the other girl rolled up. And my friend, the Draymond Green of the situation, had to put another girl in a full Nelson and did it. She's a legend to this day. Got her off our other friend.
I love the full Nelson.
Full
Did that
Nelson,
to my
it's
brother all the
effective.
time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's old school, but it works.
It was all the time.
You can't move. You're locked up.
Yeah, my brother, I'd go from the half Nelson to the full Nelson into the Cobra clutch, and he was out tapping.
You must have been so proud of yourself.
Yeah. Well, generally, this is 80s wrestling. We would all try the Jimmy Snuka, and that was where the real trouble. Flying off the bed into the ground and breaking stuff.
Where was your murderous sister in all these wrestling bouts?
Out back breaking chicken's neck.
Yeah, killing animals, killer.
Yeah, we found that out yesterday.
The irony is, my sister is nicer than this entire room combined. She is
not to a chicken. She's not.
She is, but she will kill a chicken. But she doesn't view that with any morals. I
know that's the problem.
Right.
It's a weird compass.
But you eat chicken. Do you feel bad about that?
Nope.
Where do you think it comes from? You think it's alive? No, somebody killed it, dude.
Well, I know,
but it wasn't me. That's the point.
I'm an innocent bystander.
Oh, you guys are washing your hands. That chicken died at someone's hands. Probably my sister.
Meanwhile, it's Thanksgiving next week. She's gonna be busy.
Your sister is produced Draymond Green.
Is she like the Santa Claus of chickens?
I've
Like
been
all the turkeys and chickens we have for holidays, we should just thank your sister who's been killing them left and right so that we can all have Thanksgiving dinner.
Sweat on her brow, just like mopping it off. Like, oh my gosh, she got 1,000 more necks to break.
Blood all over her hands. I was thinking about one thing you guys said that I strongly disagreed with. All day it stuck with me. Basically, you said it was wasteful not to eat the chicken after you kill it.
Yeah.
Who wants a 4-year-old stringy chicken on their table? These chickens, the meat gets bad for an old chicken.
I had no idea what the age is of the chicken I eat. I have no idea what age the cow is. I don't eat veal simply because it is a baby calf that makes me feel bad.
You want a young chicken. You don't want an old chicken.
Spring chicken?
I mean, McDonald's serves these old chickens. This is not good chicken.
Speaking of McDonald's, what's the rager that's going on the internet? Oh, no, this is Perloff.
Well, Jameson Williams started, not me.
Okay, sorry. Jameson Williams from the Lions?
Yeah, so Jameson Williams, we found out he likes to put he buys McDonald's cheeseburgers, and his favorite topping is Oreo McFlurry. He puts the McFlurry on the burger, which
not dipping it in like people dip fries into a Frosty.
He actually lays it on there like it's special sauce or some ketchup or something like that.
Now, okay, so in theory, I think a lot of this stuff makes sense. In theory, it's a dessert, a hot and cold, a bananas Foster, a cherries Jubilee. You can do the hot and cold together, and it's delightful, right? So in theory, that's good. In theory, you can do sweet and salty, kettle corn, salted caramel cookies. In theory, this is good. In practice, this is the most disgusting sounding thing I've ever heard in my life. So the ice cream's going to be dripping off the burger?
Yeah, I mean, I saw a picture, and it was not pretty. I almost didn't make it to the start of the show. I almost had to run to the bathroom. Puke everywhere.
So gross.
That's nasty.
Right,
that
because
nasty
the McFlurry melts, right? And that's the problem. I see what you're saying.
The bread, you have like soggy bread with ice cream?
Ice cream with any kind of meat like really just doesn't work.
No.
Like I like, we had
You're right.
we had a little thing about the McGriddle, and I got to try one soon.
Yeah.
But like, I think ice cream's where the sweet and salty kind of die. Like you can't put ice cream really on anything savory and make it work.
But people do like dipping fries in a Frosty. I don't, but Bogish apparently is a fan.
I am not immediately appalled by this.
Okay.
My concerns are only like logistics and physics. The melt, like you couldn't put too much McFlurry because you wouldn't want to create this melting mess of just mush. I also don't trust McDonald's workers to correctly mix the McFlurry. I love the McFlurry. And usually there's like the top layer of huge Oreos and then vanilla soft serve underneath. They don't know how to use the machine. So now I'm thinking of like there's huge chunks of Oreos in the burger that you're trying to navigate. That doesn't make sense. But if it's all done correctly, this actually might be good.
There's actually, and what I didn't realize watching this picture again, that not only does he put this on the cheeseburger, but he still has ketchup and pickles on this. So I thought maybe he told like plain and then just go with the full sweet. But now I'm mixing in pickles, which is sour.
More savory.
Come on.
Yeah.
No,
Ketchup and ice cream does not sound like a winning combination.
Yeah, where's Goodell with the personal conduct policy on this?
Yeah. Suspend him for 6 more games. He was gambling on something that got him 6 games. Now this, just for having bad taste.
Can you suspend someone for gross food?
Will Levis would have never made it on the field.
I will say this, to Bogish's concerns, this McFlurry is probably the best mixed McFlurry I've ever seen. I mean, the Oreos are definitely mixed in there quite well, but this is still nasty
Listen,
work.
if Jameson Williams is showing up to your McDonald's, you put the effort in. I mean, the guy, like, he's going to be one of the future great wideouts of the team, we think.
He has 8 catches in 2.5 years in the NFL.
And 1 gambling
He
suspension.
can't stop gambling.
knows who he is.
Anyway, I also would say, and I don't know if this is a popular opinion or not, Dairy Queen, much better than the McFlurry.
Oh, of course. There are professionals there.
The
their machines
Blizzard
work.
is like amazing.
Yes, they know what they're doing.
I don't think that's a hot take. I think, yeah.
No, but I would take whatever Sonic's thing is, I would take that over Dairy Queen.
I've only seen that in
Whether it be a
commercials.
shake or
Is Sonic as good in person as it looks in the commercial, those desserts?
Food,
4 a.m.
no. Drinks and shakes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It is one of those things, I'm sure everyone in the country gets this. Sometimes you get commercials for places that don't exist where you live, and Sonic has been one of those places my whole life.
Oh, me too. I've never been. I don't think I've ever been to a Sonic.
I don't live near one.
Growing up, whenever I'd watch NBA League Pass and watching these West Coast games, seeing the Carl's Juniors.
Carl's Jr.
Back in the day, it was like, like Paris Hilton in a bikini with a burger.
On a Ferrari.
Thirsty-year-old DJ's like, oh, what's this? And I always wondered what Carl Jr. is like.
What's
still
in that burger?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what's spreading out? Raising Cane's has gotten everywhere. There's about 4 open within 5 miles of my house now. So that's something we could never get in New York, the chicken place.
We
and
still
now
have
it's
to do it.
everywhere.
I know. Remember the Impregnated by Raising Cane's. We've really shortchanged Bogish on these headlines.
No such
Good
thing.
morning. We had a lot of important things to talk about, like McFlurries on burgers.
I think the McFlurry was probably the 3rd most important story of yesterday.
Easily.
I assume you were going to do that anyway.
I was. I'll leave it out for this hour. And again, there's a McDonald's a block away. I'll get a McGriddle for EJ, and I'll get one of these burgers and a McFlurry, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, so we were wondering about that. Will they serve you a McFlurry at 6:30 in the morning?
The McFlurry, I would think yes. The burger might be the problem now. I don't know if they make only breakfast foods this early in the morning.
How funny. This is America. Yes, you can get the ice cream at 6:30 in the morning, but the hamburger we're not so sure about. That's going to break the policy of our, we'll serve you ice cream for breakfast, but we will not give you a hamburger.
The ice cream machine's its own freestanding thing. The breakfast versus burger is about like griddle space, I think.
I could see that.
Right?
Yeah. It's just about like resources.
Yeah.
Like,
Foiled.
Like you got to use the resources for your bacon, your eggs. Whereas again, ice cream is just, it is what it is. It's probably not working, by the way.
There's also that too.
Yeah, so that's a problem.
Your headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Insurance, insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. I will start with Warriors T-Wolves as well, but basketball only because Minnesota's still scorching hot.
Shoot 3. Yes! He hit a big 3 here last season to end a 12-game losing streak to the Warriors. And Kemp puts the Wolves in front with 1:05 left to play.
That's Alan Horton on T-Wolves Radio. Minnie never trailed again after that Karl Anthony Towns 3, winning in San Francisco 104-101 for a 7-game win streak, their longest since 2004. Here's head coach Chris Finch.
Just, found a way to win ugly in a game that was pretty ugly.
Steph Curry didn't play last night with a sore knee.
Sorry, Nick in Texas, huge friend of the show. Have you ever tried peanut butter on a hamburger?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I've never even heard of that.
Never heard of it either.
Never heard of it?
No, I've never heard of anyone mixing peanut
Same.
butter in a hamburger.
Oh, I'm
That's
shocked.
a common thing?
Yeah.
Shocked?
Is it good?
But that's savory. That's not savory sweet.
No, but it's a texture thing too. But that's good. You need to have it once. I'm surprised you had never heard of it. That's a very popular, trendy, cool thing
Also,
to do.
Perloff once ate a peanut butter and jelly with bacon and has talked about it every day since we had this in Los Angeles at the Super Bowl a couple years ago.
That's great. That's savory and sweet, right?
Yeah.
That was perfect. But a peanut butter hamburger, I'm down with that. Sounds good. I'll eat that. I will not eat a McFlurry and a hamburger.
Anthony Davis had 19 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 6 blocks, and the Lakers 134-107 win over the Grizzlies. LA 5-0 at home, 2 for 2 in the in-season tourney. The Champions Classic last night in Chicago. Top-ranked Kansas showing off its new toy against number 17 Kentucky.
DeJuan Harris, he has been a superstar here in the second half. Out to McCullough. Now Jamari McDowell has come on. They lob inside to Dickinson. Spins on Mitchell. Muscles one up. It's good. Hunter Dickinson with 2 more.
Brian Haney on Learfield. Hunter Dickinson, the Michigan transfer, 27 points, 21 boards in the 89-84 victory, which followed number 9 Duke, down to number 18 Michigan State, 74-65. As expected, Shohei Ohtani and 6 other prime free agents declined their $20 million qualifying offers by yesterday's deadline, so all 7 stay on the open market, and their old team gets an extra draft pick when they sign elsewhere. I'm dying.
Bogus. We'll take it from here. I think we're gonna.
McFlurry.
I think we're gonna need.
Oh my gosh.
Get him a McFlurry ASAP.
Some medical attention too.
Somebody give Bogus the Heimlich and the McFlurry at the same
Where's
time.
Draymond where you need him?
Choke him.
That was Draymond.
Actually, Rudy was the one doing the Heimlich. He was actually trying to save Klay Thompson's life, and Draymond read it
Talks
wrong.
amongst yourselves.
Yes, we'll take it. I think we need some kind of daily Ohtani update.
Yeah.
Because it's getting real now.
Does anyone know the timing? Like, when can I get really hyped for this
Yeah,
to
you're
heat
not
up?
you're not there yet. You've got at least 3 weeks to kill before this.
3 weeks? 3 weeks is not that bad. I
No,
got
but-
Thanksgiving in between.
Yeah,
a
but
lot of football.
you don't need a daily. There's gonna be no daily updates
Okay.
because nothing's gonna heat up until they get to the winter meetings, which is early December. So you got some time to kill.
You're talking to the people who created a daily Dion.
but
we
Dion
will
does
find a
things every
daily.
day.
Daily. That actually.
And actually, we should do it twice a show.
Yeah,
We do twice daily
we can
Dion.
barely fit in one daily Dion.
The Ohtani thing is interesting for a couple reasons. We can get into this a little bit later, but there's like this sort of it's always, I think, more interesting when the Yankees are involved in these big free agent signings. And the big thing with Ohtani is, A, does he want to play on the East Coast is still a question. And 2, now that like Brian Cashman has kind of come under fire because he's been a little too honest about what's going on with Giancarlo Stanton and calling him out. And Stanton's agent kind of fired back and said, this should be a warning to anyone who wants to sign with the New York Yankees. You're never going to be safe from criticism, even in the offseason. And like kind of just like sending the warning shot out. Anyone else find this interesting?
I love it.
With Ohtani, I think it's kind of interesting.
I don't know if Shohei. I've recently what's it reported that the Braves might be in on him now. It's
Yeah,
a
saw that.
Dodgers Braves battle. That is, to me is like wow. We're talking super teams, and I don't think the Yankees are a super team anymore. So I'm not sure if you put him with the Braves. That's a little more interesting to me because then you're talking about one of the great lineups in MLB history.
So here's the thing. I know that the Braves are polarizing, I think, for people like us who root for other NL East teams. And so we have long histories with the Braves. But I think for the most part, people just respect the Braves and think the Braves are awesome. And if he goes to the Yankees, you immediately get the polarizing of, I hate him just because he's on the Yankees. I love him just because he's on the Yankees. It's better for baseball if he goes to the Yankees.
I think
absolutely.
No one hates the Dodgers that way. Everyone loves the Dodgers, don't they?
Yeah, the Dodgers sign everybody. So, of course, they're probably going to get him, and I don't think that'll be big. I understand what you're saying about the Yankees, but won't he get hurt in 2 weeks if he goes to the Yankees? I feel like the Braves could be one of the great all-time teams in MLB history.
Stop.
Look at
You're
that
a
lineup.
Phillies fan.
Look at,
We're
I don't
Mets
care.
fans.
I love
cannot
home
go
runs.
to the Braves. He
I love
cannot
home
be a
runs.
Brave.
Can you imagine they would go 50 home runs, 50 home runs, 50 home runs, 50 home runs?
That's
like the 27
problem.
Yankees. The Yankees would be good with him, but they wouldn't be the overwhelming favorite. I got to get Shohei into it, like a must go to the World Series situation. I feel like he wouldn't even work out for the Yankees.
Well, the Yankees missed the playoffs last year, but they're not in the habit of missing the playoffs. You know, this is not like, oh gosh, this is not the 80s Yankees were just in the basement with just Don Mattingly or something. Like, they are actually good generally. They just had a really bad season.
But they make these big signings, and to me, they don't work. Like Giancarlo Stanton, we all knew that wasn't going to work out.
Well, that was bad, but Garrett Cole's going to win the Cy Young.
I don't know if we knew that when they traded for him. He was like a 50 home run guy.
It feels like the Yankees are a little snake bitten lately. Does that make sense?
Yes, there's always things that didn't work. But again, Garrett Cole's going to win the Cy Young this year. Like, it's not like all of these signings don't work out. Anyway, 855-212-4CBS. Thank you, Andrew Bogusch.
Of course.
855-212-4227. Major shakeup last night in the NFL. We'll get to that. Also, we do have some quarterback drama potentially in Austin, Texas. A lot to do. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
Theme of the day, professional wrestling after Draymond Green put Rudy Gobert in a chokehold last night during a game. We expect suspensions coming post-haste.
I think only maybe one suspension. Does Gobert get suspended for grabbing Klay Thompson? Or does Jaden McDaniels? Or does Klay Thompson? It was such a minor scuffle that Draymond took to 10 immediately.
Nobody would have gotten suspended had Draymond not come in. And now I think maybe for optics, do they have to suspend a couple guys, not just him?
To me, I would not do that because Draymond was so over the top. I think you just suspend Draymond. And I would hope you'd try to make it serious, although I don't know if they will, because what's the NBA style on this kind of thing? Usually they're lighter.
Yeah, always. 855-212-4CBS. You're welcome to weigh in on Draymond Green. I'm sick of the antics. Perloff thinks that the Warriors need every aspect of Draymond to be their full selves. Meanwhile, news coming out of Austin, Texas, and I guess this one was a bit of a surprise. Depending on which report you read, depends on how serious this is. So Bobby Burton, who covers Texas football, has put this now at 90%, where Pete Thamel of ESPN is kind of saying it's a lot more to be determined, that Quinn Ewers, Perloff, is planning to come back to Texas next season.
So he has to come back because he's not going into this draft because this draft is so loaded. There's 6 first-round quarterbacks ahead of him. Why would you go into this draft and be a 4th-round pick when you could come back next year when there are no quarterbacks? There's Drew Aller and Shedeur Sanders likely. For his personal reasons, he's already getting a ton of NIL. Why not just go back? I know why not, but you have to go back for your own self-interest.
Okay, so yes, for Quinn Ewers to go back, he's had durability issues and questions. Maybe putting together a full healthy season would probably help his draft stock for sure. But I don't know. There's this guy you may have heard of who's been sitting on the bench this whole season, Arch Manning, the number 1 recruit, maybe the most sought-after recruit in all of college football. If Arch's priority is to play football his 2nd season and he doesn't want to sit again behind Ewers, I'm sorry, Quinn Ewers, you're gone. Like Steve Sarkisian.
Gone how?
He's going to have to transfer. I mean, I know he already transferred once, so I don't know how you transfer again without having to sit out.
I think you do, don't you?
You get one no sit-out transfer from the portal.
Right.
Unless you're a grad school transfer or something like that. But he's a redshirt sophomore, so he's definitely not a grad student. I just think that, Arch was recruited by every program in the country.
Right.
There were promises made. I can guarantee you that. And I bet they said, we're not going to promise that he's going to play his freshman year. Maybe he doesn't want to play his freshman year. He's still young. Give him a chance to get acclimated at college life and all of that. But if he wants to play that sophomore year, I don't see how Steve Sarkisian can say, all right, we're going to make it a true quarterback competition. You've got to keep the promise to Arch or he'll transfer.
So first of all, Quinn Ewers was also the number 1 overall prospect. Let's not forget that. And probably by just as great a distance from the number 2 as Arch was. If you have a guy who's a first or maybe 2nd, 3rd round quality quarterback, you're saying, and he's going to lead you to the Final Four very likely this year, or at least possible this year. You're going to say, you know what? You're not good enough. We're going to the untested 19-year-old next year. Steve Sarkisian wants to win a championship, and obviously an older quarterback like Quinn Ewers gives you a better chance. Well, there's no argument there.
Developing Arch is what they've, in theory, been doing this entire season. and the playoffs going to go to 12 games next year. You don't you have a much bigger, I know you're going to the SEC, it's going to be hard, but you also have more margin for error. Like Arch, if he's good, doesn't maybe have to be great to make the college football playoff. Maybe he does. Maybe Arch is great. Like, here's the thing. I know Quinn Ewers was a really big recruit. His last name's not Manning. It's different. And I know you know that. Like,
I know you. I
there's
understand
a politics
what you're saying.
behind
but
this.
also, Arch Manning comes from a rich family, and he has dads who are really into football. I say dads like Eli Payton.
His uncles. Cooper
are all
is his
basically
dad.
he has 3 dads. I think they would understand that Quinn Ewers is playing at a high level, and Sark's got to try to win a title. I'm not sure that they would care. It's not, he's tons of money. He doesn't need to get on the field. He'll be 19 next year. Maybe you start Ewers at week 1 if he does come back and then work Arch in. I don't think it's a no-brainer. I think if you're Sark, you can't bench Quinn Ewers. He just led you to a 12-1 season.
I don't think you're benching him. I think you're probably telling him, we're going to need you to move on here because Arch is going to get this job. Now, I don't know if that's what he would say. I don't think Eli and Peyton have anything to do with this, except for probably, I imagine the kid wants to play. I don't think that you are, I'm assuming trying to get to the NFL, you want to ride the bench another season? That's not what the high-level quarterback recruits do. They sit for the first year and they play the second year.
Well, nowadays they do. But also, great programs don't let first-round quarterbacks just walk away.
More Maggie and Perloff. Your thoughts, 855-212-4CBS.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's destined to get knocked out by Jake Paul. She's destined to film it. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Maggie and Perloff, welcome to the show. College football playoff. New number 1.
Yeah.
Georgia leaps over Ohio State. That was the big shakeup that happened. Besides that, there were some shakeups a little bit lower down in the rankings, but it was a little bit predictable.
Yeah.
And I think the most notable thing right now, and this could change depending on what happens in the coming weeks, but there is nothing right now that Alabama can do to jump Texas right now. Okay, so they have kept Texas at 7 and Alabama at 8 in all 3 of the rankings. And I think that's the right move. However, if Alabama does beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, I think they will jump Texas. I'm not saying that's right.
Right.
I'm saying they will. I think they will jump Texas even if Texas wins out.
So I watched Brew Corrigan, the head of the committee, talk last night, and he said something really interesting. He said, obviously, winning matters. We look at wins first. He said, we do count head-to-head very seriously. So why would he say that?
If he's talking about Texas,
talking
Alabama.
about Texas goes into Alabama and wins by 10 points. If it was Kansas State or Baylor, that wouldn't matter. I think it's, yes, normally, of course, Alabama beats Georgia. There's no doubt Alabama's in. They're dying to get Alabama in. But Texas is one school that's so fascinating to people. They're very, very popular going back to the Vince Young days.
Of course.
It's a huge national program. And they won in Alabama. I know it's early in the season, but why are you scheduling these tough out-of-conference games, which college football wants you to do, if they don't count for anything? I think it's going to be a much harder decision than I think some people think.
Okay, so I think that Alabama is a much different football team than it was early. It's
so
not,
what?
Well, I mean, I don't know if that's going to end up mattering. Probably not, but they lost by what? It was double digits, right?
They lost by 10.
By 10. So that's a convincing win they had in Tuscaloosa, but Alabama is a different team now, and I don't know if that factors in, especially if they beat Georgia. Now, for Florida State, that one win over LSU to start the season is definitely their best win, and it was the first win of the year, and they continue to put FSU in the top 4.
Well, of course. I mean, if you're undefeated, you're getting in. If Washington goes undefeated, they're in. So you could have 3 undefeated teams. You could have 4 undefeated teams.
You could.
Georgia's undefeated right now. They're number 1. Then Michigan, Ohio State, both undefeated. Washington's at 5, but they're undefeated. So that's not the argument. The argument is what's going to happen with one loss. And don't discount the fact that Oregon is ahead of Alabama and Texas.
That's a good point.
The committee might look, Oregon, I think you could make an easy argument, is playing better than anyone right now. They're just shellacking people. So it's very complicated. I think the committee is facing an almost impossible dilemma. I think they're going to get destroyed by some fan base this year. Whoever gets left out, I think it's going to be one of the worst worst defeats the committee's ever taken. I think they're going to be just ridiculed to the end of the day every day because they're going to have to leave out 2 great teams this year, very possibly.
Yeah, I mean, that feels like it kind of happens every year. Like
Not like this.
Someone has like major beef. But I guess I would say for Oregon, listen, Oregon, their second best game in terms of resume is a loss. Now, they have what they call good losses. Good losses is how a lot of like SEC teams still stay ranked and stuff like that because they're lose and it's close. And so you get credit for that. So the best wins that Oregon has, of course, is Utah, Colorado. Can you call USC like a great win? You definitely have a Heisman Trophy winner on one side, but the defense is a sieve.
Better than Colorado. That's a 4-win team.
And then you've got a 3-point loss to Washington.
Right. But in this scenario, they beat Washington. It will be number 5. So the only way they're getting there in the Pac-12 title game, what does that win over Washington do?
I don't know, because if Alabama beats Georgia, that win is going to be probably looked at as being better than Oregon's win over Washington.
Yeah, I know. I think
is everyone with us
agree.
still?
Yeah.
Everyone got all that? Take some notes.
So I think Oregon does get left out for that very reason. But Texas will, if they win out, has a couple wins. They could add another. They've beaten a bunch of ranked teams, so they're going to have a great argument too. To me, the most interesting scenario is Texas fan base and Alabama's fan base going at it. I can't wait. And
don't forget the Oregon fan base. I mean, we know we're on in Oregon. We've got a loyal audience in Oregon, and I think they would be ticked off as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But Texas and Alabama, oh man, that would be fun to see. There was a picture last night of the committee meeting in Grapevine, Texas yesterday. What do they talk about? There's nothing on this week to week. What can they possibly say that makes any difference? Because they're just going to change their mind at the end of the season anyway.
You know what they're doing is they're just waiting for stuff to play out. I think that they can say whatever they want now. They're going to stay really flexible on what they say, and some things are going to mean one thing today and not tomorrow. And then they're hoping, probably dying, for some of these teams to just lose.
It's not going to happen this year. Florida State's not going to lose.
No, I don't think so.
Michigan and Ohio State, they're both going undefeated into their showdown at the end of the season.
But that's easy, Michigan, Ohio State. Whoever loses that game, you're out. That seems like an obvious
So you got
one.
2 no-brainers. Florida State, and I think is a no-brainer, and Ohio State, Michigan. Then you got
Washington.
Yeah, you have all the conference winners. Does winning a conference mean anything to you, Maggie?
Well, does it mean anything to the committee? Don't ask me.
Yes,
sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
They always talk about winning the conference, so now they're going to be put to the test.
Well, TCU didn't win the conference last year. They lost to Utah in the Big 12 title.
But last year there were not all these good teams. They had to stick in Ohio State because
Utah, Kansas State.
They couldn't. This year there's so many more qualified teams. Last year there was nobody. Ohio State had no right to get in last year. They lost their last game decidedly.
Anyone a little bit thinking about this Washington at Oregon State this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, Oregon State's
anyone's radar up on that? Weird things happen in Corvallis.
Well, Oregon State's number 11, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah, Oregon State's a solid team, and Washington has looked, shakier than you would think, given how dominant they were to start the season.
But Washington will get it. I think, and double check this, I think Washington gets another shot. Are they still going to get to the Pac-12 title game? So is it a must-win for them?
I think it is because I think that there's still a conversation of if they're undefeated and Florida State's undefeated. I don't know if this has been decided yet, that 4 or 5 thing. I know, look, I'm an ACC fan, so maybe I should be rooting for Florida State, even though I'm a Miami fan, so I hate them. I think that if you look at Washington beating Oregon twice, I don't know how you can put Florida State, even if they're undefeated, ahead of them. Now, it may not matter because there'll be an elimination with Ohio State and Michigan, but that may be the conversation that gets had.
Both will get in if they're undefeated. I think there's room for both of them. But Washington, actually, they're guaranteed. I think they've already clinched the Pac-12 because Oregon State has 2 conference losses. Arizona has 2 conference losses. So Washington could lose and then beat Oregon. I mean, it's a 1-loss.
Yeah, but we've seen the committee at times snub their nose at the Pac-12.
Yeah, and ironically,
it's their
the
last
year
season, and so now who's even going to complain to you? Obviously the Washington faithful would, but this conference ceases to exist.
I've wondered, is that play into their mind, the fact that Pac-12 is going away? So I think that's the easiest conference to screw. I think it's
definitely.
And you could screw Texas because they're leaving the Big 12 too. You say, well, you know what the Big 12, it's great, but let's go SEC. So I think you're right. Probably Alabama has an edge. But don't you find it weird that Texas beat them in Alabama and that they're going to get leapfrogged?
Well, we don't know. Again, this is the big if but. Like, if Alabama first has to beat Georgia, that's not nothing.
Yeah,
this is a very tall task. If they don't beat Georgia, none of this matters.
But actually,
we just don't know how many times is Nick Saban actually going to lose to Kirby Smart, I think is...
Yeah, I mean...
a question.
You know, the problem is if Georgia had nothing to play for here and they were already in, then they might take their foot off the gas, but they might need to win this game to get in the Final Four too. So they're going to bring the full force of Georgia on them.
You can't leave anything to chance.
No, it's going to be really hard. At Georgia, by the way, I watched the committee thing last night. Everyone's saying their defense is not a Georgia defense, so maybe they're vulnerable this year more so. You can't put 10 guys in the NFL every year and still be that good, can you, Maggie?
I mean, that's what I've always thought it's going to catch up to them at some point, but they've gotten better as the season has gone on. It was shakier a little bit earlier on with Georgia, and now look at what they just did last week.
Their offense is now equal to last year's defense. They're very good.
Let's go to the phones, 855-212-4CBS. Sean is in California. Hey, Sean, what's up?
Yeah, hey, I'll take this off the air, but I was just wondering if you guys would break down Florida State like you've been breaking down these other teams and see what you come up with, because I don't believe they belong where they're at. And I'll take it off the air.
Yeah, Sean, thank you for the call. It's, we said it, the best win is LSU. It's the first win of the season, and sometimes as the year goes on, do those good wins at the beginning of the season start to fade a little bit. I don't think it will for Texas, Alabama. I don't think it will for FSU, LSU, but still.
I mean, undefeated is undefeated. I understand exactly what Sean's saying. We watched them play close games against pretty bad teams. The BC game was a disaster earlier in the season. They happened to win it, and the Miami game last week was not impressive. But undefeated, how do you keep how do you jump a one-loss team over an undefeated team? I think that's a very hard thing to do.
Well, they also have the win over Duke, and Duke was ranked at the time. You also have the overtime win in Clemson. It's not nothing. They have North Alabama left, then at Florida, and then the ACC championship game, which is
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Louisville.
Pardon me.
Right
Louisville
now.
dropped a spot, I saw.
Yeah, but they're a top team, and that may be what Florida State needs to get them over the hump to really convince people.
But doesn't Louisville just have that one good win over Notre Dame?
Yeah, I mean, Louisville got really lucky to beat Virginia. I think that's why they dropped a spot. Louisville does not look great. One thing about you can also pick apart Alabama's production. If you're going on strength of wins, Alabama let Arkansas, who's just firing everybody, hang around to the last play. And I don't know if Alabama beats LSU if they don't have a cheap shot on Jaden Daniels. So it's not like Alabama has been consistently amazing either. I think and even Georgia has had some close games. So if you're going to pick apart Florida State for close games, you could do that for every contender on this list.
Oh, definitely. I mean, is there a thought? I know Georgia's playing so well, but did they really need to leapfrog Ohio State?
Well,
Ohio State just coming off a win 38-3 over Michigan State. I mean, okay, it was close against Rutgers at halftime, but they ended up winning the game 35-16.
I think Georgia should have been number one all along. They just had no strength of schedule on there. They've beat a top 10 team. Ohio State, if you're doing the eyeball, no one thinks Ohio State is playing better than Georgia or Michigan. Why isn't Michigan ahead of Ohio State now? That's a legit argument. Not that it matters because they get to play each other, but Michigan is obviously playing better. They beat Penn State a little more easily than Ohio State did.
That's in the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. Of course, we say good morning to our incredible CBS Sports Radio affiliates who we appreciate. You can always download the free Odyssey app. It's crystal clear. We're on Sirius XM channel 158. Wronger in the chat says Michigan is the true number one.
Could easily make that argument. We haven't even talked about the elephant in the room is Jim Harbaugh in Michigan.
Well, but give me the Michigan. So they just beat Penn State.
Yeah.
And they beat them 24-15.
Right,
And Ohio State, this is what? They beat them by 9 points, and Ohio State beat them by 8? It's not that different.
I don't see a case for Michigan to be number one, quite
frankly. I don't either.
But why is Ohio State above Michigan? I mean,
Ohio State beat Notre Dame on the road.
Yeah, the Notre Dame win.
Well, yes, but Michigan, common opponents, has beaten everybody by more. Every single common opponent is beaten by more points than Ohio State.
All of these teams are awful. Awful. Not even they're okay. Nebraska, Minnesota, Indiana, Michigan State, Purdue. None of those wins are impressive. Okay, you beat them by 40. Who cares?
Well, and also it's not like Ohio State is losing or is beating these teams by that much less.
Right, exactly. They're handling these teams too. They beat Purdue by 30 points. They beat Maryland by 20.
Well, that Maryland game was. They let Maryland hang around a little bit.
Yeah,
right, but they do what they always do. They hang around
that.
for a half, and then they put you away in the second half.
And by the way, what is that Notre Dame? That Notre Dame's not ranked, are they? Are they, or where are they?
Yeah, they still are. They're ranked 20, I think.
Yeah, I mean that's a good win, but that didn't blow me away. I think this is the worst Ohio State team we've seen in 5 years. I mean, they're definitely not the Ohio State that we've come to love.
Wait, but that was Notre Dame before they lost to Louisville.
Right.
I mean, that was different then.
Right, but it doesn't. I don't think they look at it like that. They look at the body of work of this team. Notre Dame obviously is not what we thought Notre Dame was.
But at the time when they played, that was Sam Hartman's on a heater.
Right.
That was that was the biggest game of the year to date.
Right, but I don't know how they look at it. But then it's revealed that they really weren't that great a team.
I mean, not great. I mean, they're 7-3. They beat USC
great.
at home. Like they're fine. I mean, we're talking about Michigan wins against Purdue and Michigan State. Like what are we talking about?
I know.
Yeah,
I can't take away from Ohio State looking at that.
But if you look at Michigan has just manhandled their opponents, and Ohio State is not. I think a little bit less.
To be honest, to me, and maybe this is unfair, but I thought the way Michigan even beat Penn State hurt me in terms of my eyes, in terms of putting them against the top teams. Because I don't think you can beat any of these top teams running the ball 31 times in a row.
Oh, old school. I loved it. I thought that was very
Georgia,
impressive.
they're going to get their heads kicked in.
I don't know. I think that's how you beat Georgia, is you control the clock. That's Michigan's strength, right? Their running game. I thought it was old school football. It was like Bo Schembechler was back. I thought that was a physical domination of Penn State. They came out there and said, we are going to plow you over and just hold on to the ball. That was, by the way, what the heck happened in that game? No one's explained to me why J.J. McCarthy only threw it 8 times.
Well, I mean, Harbaugh's suspended for that game, and you've got Sharon Moore on the sideline, and they were running the ball effectively, so they ran it 34 times in a row. It's a hell of a strategy. It really is. 855-212-4CBS, yes?
You don't think that'll work against Georgia? You think you're going to have to throw the ball a little more?
You might need a couple more explosives.
Wait, so that's an interesting poll. Who do you think is a better team right now, Michigan or Ohio State? I think Michigan wins that poll hands down.
Well, it's all a little clouded now, too, with the sign stealing. I don't think you can just look at Michigan and be like, all right, let's just look at the resume. There's so much swirling around that team. I
don't view it that way. I think they were the most impressive team, even more impressive than Georgia this year.
Okay, but think about the common opponent. Ohio State and Michigan have both played Penn State, and one beat it by 8 points and one beat it by 9. It's not like one team blew them out.
Well, yeah, but the way they won was different. Michigan controlled the game from start to finish. Ohio State kind of got a little lucky. They got there was a fumble 6 by Penn State that shouldn't have been reversed. Penn State, it felt like Penn State was in the Ohio State game. I did not feel like Penn State was in the Michigan game.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. See you guys on the phones. We will get to you, we promise, right on the other side. Also, another brewing hot debate in the chat right now, and obviously it's food related. Because when you are named the Weedos...
Yeah, I was about to say, we know why that is.
And you're smoking that much ganj. The only thing you can really have an expertise in, I would think, is probably food.
You're saying that they're more interested in the Oreo McFlurry than how Oregon and Florida State rack?
I'm going to tell you, they took it to a whole new level. So we'll get to that in a minute as well. You're listening to Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, Carlos is on the board today, which either means a music theme or today a pro wrestling theme. You're going to have to help me out. What was going on there?
Yeah,
you go ahead, Carl.
That was Undertaker throwing Mankind off Hell in a Cell. And that's one of Jim Ross's famous calls. But it also could be used for anything, like Draymond Green hitting a teammate or something.
Yeah, well, Draymond's future is definitely professional wrestling if he wants it. He's basically doing a hybrid right now, basketball/professional wrestling. And this has become a theme in sports with a few of our biggest stars.
Has Draymond ever stepped in the ring? He'd be great.
Has he done
He
that?
should.
He really should.
He totally looks like an AEW guy.
Sure, let's call Tony Khan.
Oh, yeah. We actually can maybe make that happen.
You know, listen, not to name drop here, but I've talked to Mankind about that. I mean,
You've talked to Mankind? That's awesome.
We're on a first name basis. And I'm proud to call JR a friend. I love JR. And he admits like that was totally should not have done that. Like that.
Oh, yeah.
He's open about it now. Like that was insane that he did it. And he's gotten so injured in his career.
Yeah, wild that even happened and will never happen in the ring ever again.
No, thankfully.
Yeah.
855-212-4CBS. Let's get to the phones. We were talking about the college football playoff. We've been talking about Draymond Green. If you're just waking up, just getting to it, Draymond Green put Rudy Gobert in a chokehold last night as there was a dust-up between Klay Thompson and Jaden McDaniels. This was between the Warriors and the Timberwolves, who have played twice in like 4 days, and they were getting into it. Mark is in Ohio. He's got an interesting what-if. Hey, Mark.
Good morning. Hear me out, because I've got a question about toughness. Okay. I have a theory that the NFL changed their rules because I called Tiki and Tierney and told them when we played backyard football, and if somebody used to hit with their head, we'd kick them off the field. And then they started kicking people off the field in the NFL. Now,
based on your backyard games and the call to Tiki?
Yeah, I believe that.
Mark is why Denzel Perryman got suspended for 3 games.
Thank you, Mark.
But the question of toughness, or is the person tough or is he a hothead? So, like, in the NFL, I look at Myles Garrett and I'm like, I think he's a little bit of a hothead, and then he kind of shrinks in the big moment. Like, I don't know how someone gets away on television with, like, trying to assault someone with a helmet.
Yeah.
Like, he could have seriously, like, injured somebody, like, perhaps even killed them.
This is going back to the Mason Rudolph dust-up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, when we look at, like, Draymond, I'm asking, do you think Draymond is tough, or do you think he's a hothead? So compare him to, like, LeBron James. Is he tougher than LeBron James?
Or is, like, the toughness, you know, Mark, it's kind of interesting when we talk about our athletes, and thank you, is toughness, Perloff, the kind of thing that almost has to go, like, unspoken? Like, you know who the tough guys are. They prove it with their play. They don't have to have outbursts and go beyond and go dirty to show how tough they are.
Right, but can you be both? Because I feel like Draymond is definitely a hothead, as defined by Mark, but he's also super tough. I mean, no one's ever questioned his toughness. He's 6'5", and he'll go and mix up for a rebound with a 7-footer and not even think twice about it. And he also will cover a huge guy. I think he's both. Is that possible, or is Mark saying you have to be one or the other? He's definitely tough. I mean, nobody's saying Draymond's got his flaws. His shot will come and go like crazy, and he does weird things. But to call him not tough seems weird to me.
No, I think he's definitely tough. I'm trying to think of, like, the strong, silent type guys. You know, the ones who you know are tough but don't have to have that dirty streak.
Thanks, Maggie.
What? You?
Like Troy Polamalu?
Maybe, like a Troy Polamalu.
Maybe Brian Dawkins, maybe.
Yeah, not
Brian Dawkins would be a good one.
Well, yeah, but he's so outwardly psychotic in a good way.
Like, I don't know, Von Miller. Like, I think Von's got some weird things in his past, right?
Von Miller's just super small and fast for a defensive end with great bend. He's not a tough guy. He doesn't take guys out.
I'm thinking of J.J. Watt. I'm thinking of Defensive Player of the Year candidates, guys.
You don't think J.J. Watt's tough?
He's not a tough guy. Like, tough guys are like Polamalu or Bill Romanowski, guys who are looking to hurt people and intimidators. J.J. Watt was unblockable. No, I think there's a difference between, and Myles Garrett is not really a tough guy. I understand what he's saying. He's really, really talented, but he's not an intimidator. Maybe I'm crazy about that. Some guys are looking to hurt the quarterback, and some are not.
Well, you can't really hurt the quarterback these days.
Yeah.
You're going to hurt your team. If you want to hurt the quarterback, you're now being selfish.
Yeah, to me, it's like the Draymonds, there's the Ndamukong Suhs. Like, there are these kind of guys that are talented, also clearly tough, but also clearly hotheads. I agree with Perloff. I think, like, when the caller said I agree, I think he's both. I think he's a guy that with the Warriors, without him, like, I think that they would lack that kind of physicality. He brings that to the table. But as we've talked about, he's a double-edged sword, because then he goes across the line and it ends up hurting his team in the end.
It's like Charles Barkley.
You know who is Debo, James Harrison. Sorry, the Steelers linebacker.
Yeah, James Harrison.
Yeah. That's a guy who was super hot-headed, but I think the Steelers needed that to intimidate opponents. He was one of the dirtiest players ever, but it worked, right?
He racked up hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines.
Right, but he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, no.
And Vontaze Burfict was even dirtier than James Harrison, and he racked up a lot of fines.
Here's a question.
But he did win a lot of football games.
Because we're talking about Draymond versus LeBron, so you're talking about guys who play offense and defense, and LeBron, for especially on the offensive side. Is there an offensive player? Does it just have to be safeties and defensive ends? Because I think of like Marshawn Lynch as like,
Yeah, definitely.
damn,
Brandon Jacobs for the Giants.
Yeah.
the way he
that's another
ran.
good one.
Wow, Hines Ward was famously the dirtiest
Was
offensive player of all time and a great player. Juju's really super
John
tough. Ironically,
Stockton was known as a dirty player, but also tough.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I was thinking about your guy, Josh Allen. Honestly, I know we talked a lot about him yesterday, but like the way he plays football, I think you
Not
look at
dirty,
him,
though.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
dirty,
Oh,
but
but
like,
tough, yeah.
but a tough guy who's an offensive player.
well, there's tough offensive players, then there's crackback block guys who will hurt you. And
Like
there's
Hines
a lot.
Ward.
Yeah, like Hines Ward. Remember Conrad Dobler? You guys know that name, the dirtiest player of
Yeah.
all time. I think he was an offensive lineman, right? Bite you in
Yeah.
the pile. So I don't think Josh Allen's tough like that. Do you think Josh Allen's
I don't
tough?
think he's
He'll
dirty,
take
but to
punishment.
EJ's point, I think he's tough. He doles out punishment from the quarterback
yeah,
position.
he's running guys over. Like you don't see that from almost
Derrick
any
Henry.
other quarterback.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry,
Derrick Henry.
another one, stiff-arming guys, running through guys.
Once the temperature got below 40 degrees, nobody wanted to tackle Adrian Peterson at any given time. They're like, yeah, here's the end zone, dude. I don't want any of that.
Break the
Earl
records.
Campbell.
Oh,
Yeah.
Earl Campbell. Those
Ultimate
guys.
tough guy, maybe.
I think
Right.
you have to be a running back or Hines Ward.
But Draymond's more
On offense, or Josh
Draymond's
Allen.
more like a linebacker in the NFL. Like he is really looking to really cause trouble.
No, but
like
LeBron
chaos.
is also. I think LeBron is tough, but
No, he's not.
tough.
LeBron's
kinda
tough like Odell
passive-aggressive.
Beckham Jr. is tough. LeBron is way too big a star to be tough.
I think that's the poll question: do you consider LeBron James tough
I think he flops too much.
or a tough guy? Or
Yeah.
An
I'll bet
easy
you that's
no.
80-20 no.
But he's also not a finesse guy. Like, come on, the tomahawk dunks, the thundering through dudes. Like, yeah, you have the flopping a little bit, sure, but everyone kind of does that. I still think LeBron plays with such a force. He's going downhill. Let's not let late career LeBron take away from what we saw
No.
early career LeBron when he's head down to the basket. You're not stopping him.
But the first commercial LeBron ever did was about how great a passer he was too. He was also
He's just being a good basketball player.
Yeah, but that's not a tough guy. Karl Malone was a tough guy on the court. LeBron, I think, had too much finesse to be considered that because he's one of the great passers in NBA history. Where's he on the assist list?
Yeah, he's up there. 855-212-4CBS. Dennis is in Union City, California, has got a thought about another quarterback. Hey, Dennis, how are you?
Yeah, how are you? I'm a Trojans fan. I'm very not only concerned about the offense and the offensive line and the defense, but Caleb Williams' behavior. I don't know if you guys noticed this. You probably did.
Yeah.
He was, after the loss last week, he was crying.
Yep.
His mom was shielding him, and I'm concerned, going forward, even into the NFL. I'm just not sure he's NFL ready. I hope he comes back next year. He probably won't, but I just don't think he's NFL ready, and I'm concerned about his behavior. He's supposed to be a leader, and part of being a leader is handling adversity in public. And if he wants to do all that stuff, the crying, I don't condone. I don't deny him that, but do it in private. I mean, I'm concerned going forward. And
It's Dennis. Thank you so much for the phone call. And as a Trojan fan, you're living and dying with Caleb Williams. You probably thought you were going to see a little bit more bigger games. Quite frankly, they're 7-4 right now. Not going to be in the college football playoff, and I'm sure that's got to be disappointing. The one thing we said when he was crying that day, which I don't begrudge him. But I think it was like, all right, when you go to the NFL and you're the likely number 1 overall pick, you're probably going to walk into a lot of losing. Like, you're not going to be going to a really good program, a good franchise. So you can't take the losses that personally.
No, it's a good point. Still, let's look at reality here. No one's passing on Caleb Williams. There's nobody in a long time. He looks like Patrick Mahomes. He breaks about 7 tackles and throws the ball 50 yards downfield without even having his base underneath him. So it doesn't matter. He's number 1. I think this is where you're right. He's got to go to the right situation. I think a coach can help with some of that. If you're in a strong locker room with a strong coach, that will all work itself out. The question is, are the number 1 pick teams going to be that? Imagine the Giants, the Patriots, Chicago. I'm not sure that it's a good situation. I think you have a really good point there.
Andrew Bogish is here with headlines. Good morning.
Good morning again. You were just discussing this. Despite nobody losing last weekend, the committee did make a change at the very top of the college football playoff rankings. Georgia is now number 1, dropping Ohio State to 2nd. The Bulldogs coming off back-to-back top 15 wins, while the Buckeyes still sitting on earlier W's over Notre Dame and Penn State. Michigan and Florida State round out the top 4 again, with Washington and Oregon still waiting on the outside. So the skirmish that led to Draymond Green choking Rudy Gobert started before a point was scored last night. The T-Wolves and Warriors hadn't even played 2 minutes before Klay Thompson and Jaden McDaniels got together.
This is hockey style.
Those two and Draymond got the boot, but Steve Kerr thinks Klay didn't deserve it.
There's no way Klay Thompson should have been thrown out of the game. I mean, he's running up the floor, and the guy grabs his jersey, and he's pulling on him, and so Klay pulls back, and no way Klay should have been ejected. That was ridiculous.
Once things settled down, the T-Wolves ran their win streak to 7, 104-101. That's their longest in 19 years. Karl Anthony Towns, 33 points and 11 boards.
I'm sorry, Steve Kerr, a little bit unreliable narrator here, because he also said that Rudy Gobert, didn't he say Gobert had Draymond around the neck?
He said he had Klay Thompson around the neck, which couldn't have been close to being true.
Didn't happen, but... Anyway.
The Sixers' 8-game win streak, sadly over, a 132-126 loss to Maggie's Pacers. Tyrese Halliburton posted 33 with 15 assists. I guess Zion bought in last night, 19 points, 7 boards, 5 helpers. The Pels snapped their 5-game skid, 131-110 over the Mavs, and the Clipper losing streak is now 6, the last 5 with James Harden after a 111-108 loss in Denver. It doesn't look good for LA big picture right now. It looked better back in 2020 in the bubble, but Lou Williams recently revealed those Clips just wanted to go home.
I didn't even want to be there, and I think once we got there and we was in it, I think I was in the bubble 97 days was how long I was there, and I think about day 67, I was like, let's get the out of here. So I think mentally we wasn't in it for the long game. We didn't really see the pot of gold at the end of it. We were starting to hear the rumblings like, oh, nobody's going to respect this chip and all of that. And so I think we kind of just took our foot off the gas.
That was Lou speaking on Trae Young's podcast.
Are the Clippers, it's been how many years of having character issues and mental weakness?
Infinity.
Because they've had talent. I mean, they've had talent since 2010.
That's a franchise that's never had tough guys.
Right. Yes. That's a great point.
Blake Griffin did punch somebody, but he was a trainer, I think.
Right. He dropped a weight on him.
But,
no,
I mean,
punched him.
is this the same formula over and over again where you just collect all-stars and you can't win? Aren't they the blueprint for a franchise that does it wrong? I hope the Clippers lose out the entire season right now.
They're probably going to win a game or two, but this is the problem with them. They're building incorrectly, and then even maybe when they had things built correctly in the bubble, guys were like, "This is boring. Let's go home."
Okay, so 2 things. What I remember most about Lou Williams in the bubble was the fact that didn't he go for chicken wings? At
he
the strip club?
He left for a funeral. His friend died.
Yes,
and they were like, "Okay, you can go for the funeral." But then, I guess after the funeral, he was at Magic City.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where the wings are apparently incredible, but they're known for also their adult entertainment.
Sure.
And he was there online. And someone just took a picture of Lou Williams, in a crowded strip club ordering chicken wings.
Yeah.
But he was supposed to just go to the funeral and come back to the bubble.
When we're also like peak pandemic. So
Right,
it was like
exactly.
a little bit more,
No vaccine, no nothing.
Yeah, a little more controversial to be going to a crowded strip joint. But the other part is like, you already kind of told us what you thought, unless the funeral after party was at Magic City, which, maybe someone has that written in their will, would be probably fun. But, I mean, you've already told us what you thought about the bubble. The other thing I find very odd about this is, like, you talk about guys who have to block out the outside noise. Y'all were literally in a bubble. How did the outside noise of this championship not going to matter? How did that penetrate when you're all together?
He literally said there's not a pot of gold at the end of this. No, literally there is. They give you the Lombardi, the Larry O'Brien trophy. Like, there is gold after this.
You all get bonuses, I'm sure.
Yeah, is that made out of gold? I think it is.
Gold-plated.
Yeah, exactly.
I think. Now, the bottom line is, though, I kind of agree with him about the bubble. We can talk about this later. I think it's the Dodgers, Lakers.
But these guys were like held hostage for he said 3+ months. That's not easy to win in that scenario.
But you didn't have to travel.
So what? You're away from your family
it's
in
the
hotel
wear and
rooms.
tear.
No, the wear and tear is the mental
The wear and tear is
beating
less,
of
right?
being locked into that place.
The bubble was probably, I think, the most real basketball we've seen because it was the most pure. There
It's
are
like
no
AAU
fans.
tournament.
There's no which is
that pure?
Yeah, because there is no other outside influences. You're not talking about guys who stayed out late at night. You know, guys who didn't get over the travel, who had to travel with injuries. Like, all those things are gone. It's all about pure hoop.
Listen.
Who's the best guys out here? And that's why I think you saw some of these incredible performances.
One thing I'll give you is obviously the referees probably can't be swayed,
Right.
by the home crowd. That's the one thing I'll give you. But beyond that, I think that's an asterisk title.
But it was the best shooting we've ever had in the playoffs, right? Everybody was on fire.
Right, and I love that. To me, it showed how talented these guys are if you don't have these other outside, things happening.
I know, but everyone else had to deal with those. Like, you're getting something like that was such unique circumstances. How can we look at it just the same?
But the Lakers and the Heat have shown that clearly it wasn't just the bubble that made those teams good. I mean, the Heat just became an 8 seed that went to
They
the
did the same
NBA
thing
Finals.
outside the bubble than they did inside the bubble.
Exactly.
I know, but I'm talking
Jamal
about
Murray just had a great playoff run just like he did when he was in the bubble.
But every other team has had to deal with hostile home crowds, has had to deal with the travel. I mean, you talk about all those Lakers-Celtics series where you're literally crisscrossing the country. I mean, I know they travel private, but they still have to do it.
Well, right, but of course, but also those teams went home to their wives and girlfriends, their kids. They weren't trapped in hotels. They weren't eating food dropped at their front door. They had different hurdles to get over.
Yeah, I think being away from your family when you're a professional athlete, you're that locked in. I think that guys lock in.
Yeah, not for 3+ months.
Well,
That's
maybe
a
not
lot.
for 3+ months.
And
I'm
some
sorry.
guys obviously didn't care, but other guys I'm sure did.
And it's also weak for the Clippers or Lou Williams to be like, oh, we heard the championship bubble was going to be.
Stop trying.
Yeah, you know what? We'll give up this 3-1 lead because, we're hearing that this bubble championship is not going to mean as much.
Who is
we
on
want to
that
be a
team?
punchline again.
How is that team good? I actually.
Oh, Kawhi Leonard was actually healthy and playing.
Oh, Kawhi was healthy in the
and
that's the
Paul
thing.
George was also healthy and playing. Like this was the most healthy they had been, in part because of the bubble. Probably they didn't have this wear and tear that they normally have over the course of a real
Same
season.
with the Lakers. There's no way the Lakers stay that healthy in a normal season.
And they got a break in the middle of the season. You don't think that helped Kawhi or LeBron or Anthony Davis? Definitely.
100%.
It's not the same.
Let's do so. Oh, it's not the same, but I don't think it was easy either. And I don't hold it against the Lakers that they won there.
Same.
I'm with you guys. I do think the Dodgers only playing 60 games. That's the one that probably has the biggest
I don't
asterisk.
count that one at all.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yes.
Let's get to some top 25 men's college basketball. Champions Classic in Chicago. 9th-ranked Duke fought off number 18 Michigan State 74-65. Then number 1 Kansas outscored number 17 Kentucky 87-84. Kevin McCullough Jr. 12 points, 10 boards, 10 assists for the Jayhawks. And how about those Anteaters? UC Irvine, a 70-60 win at number 16 USC. Baltimore's Brandon Hyde, Miami's Skip Shoemaker, named managers of the year yesterday on ice. These stupid Panthers scored goals 63 seconds apart mid-third period to steal a 5-3 win from our Sharks. Florida's now on a 5-game win streak. And U.S. Soccer officially hiring Emma Hayes as the new head coach of the women's national team yesterday. Their agreement runs through 2027, makes her the highest paid women's coach in the world. Exact numbers unclear, but it's apparently in the neighborhood of the $1.6 million annually that Greg Berhalter gets to kind of coach the men's team. Guys, back to you.
By the way, I got an impassioned call from a hockey fan that we all know saying you guys don't know what you're talking about when it comes to hockey because you had an issue. Yeah.
How dare they?
Because
I'm wearing skates right now.
They said that when I
weird.
put Connor Bedard on my top 5 coolest athletes list, that made perfect sense that you guys do not understand what Connor Bedard is doing. He was specifically talking about you, Bogus.
I wasn't here that day.
He also doesn't know Pearl Jam, right? Isn't that the thing?
Yes.
I feel like cool people know Pearl Jam, even though
Even young people.
Yeah,
He's 12 years old. That's what makes him so cool.
855-212-4CBS. See you guys on the phones. Thank you, Bogish. Deion Sanders responding to the Texas A&M rumors, or not even rumors, the smoke around Texas A&M. Could he be their next coach? You'll hear about it next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maybe Draymond Green, the new CM Punk. Draymond last night getting a dust up. He didn't start it. He definitely finished it. It's Klay Thompson and Jaden McDaniels who got into it. And then Rudy Gobert came in, kind of bear hugged Klay Thompson. And then Draymond flew in and put a chokehold on Rudy Gobert. So I think that qualifies as escalating things.
I did see a headline. The Miz commented this summer that Draymond Green would do well in WWE. I don't see it.
Why? He's got great mic skills.
He's
clearly
good, but I'm not sure he's a big enough like you need a Gronk. I think football players would translate better. I don't
was
know.
in WWE for a bit.
Yeah, I think.
Well, the best
McAfee,
athlete wrestler might be Dennis Rodman, who was a basketball player.
Well, what did he do in the ring? He was good.
He was in a tag team match. In fact, the two best wrestlers might be basketball players. Him and Karl Malone.
I remember Karl Malone.
They both wrestled, and they were in a tag team match with Hulk Hogan and Diamond Dallas Page, and they both did fantastic.
But Dennis Rodman,
big yoga guy.
Dennis Rodman was a huge superstar. Is Draymond a superstar? I don't know how popular he is amongst.
I think he's notorious.
Yeah.
I think everybody knows. Everybody knows who Draymond Green is.
I mean, is he top 50 in NBA jersey sales though?
It's not about jersey. I don't think anybody's buying Rodman's jersey. It's about again. It's more about being infamous than being famous. Pac-Man Jones wrestled. Like nobody knows who Pac-Man Jones.
But Rodman though was a huge force unto himself.
Of course,
a little different. Yeah, I mean Draymond would be good. Draymond doesn't need to do this. He already has a show on TNT. Isn't he already in broadcasting?
And he's got the podcast, obviously. But I mean, if you're into wrestling, this is always a lifelong dream for people to be part of these types of shows. And to be honest, I think McAfee's a pretty good wrestler, and he was a punter.
Yeah.
So 855-212-4CBS. Let's get to our Daily Dion.
Daily.
Do you believe that?
Dion.
You believe that?
Okay, I'm just going to warn everybody. Dion is going to get linked to every opening, both college and pro, over the next, 8 months or whatever. So just, buy a hat and hold on to it. Here was Dion after answering questions about whether or not he'd be interested in the Texas A&M job.
I want to win a game. So you think I really do sit down and think about that kind of stuff? Like what strikes me about that, about myself, that you guys really think I sit down and say, yeah, Stevie, yeah. Like, come on, I'm good. Like, we got to win. Let's focus on this week. And we play Friday, so we lose a day of practice. So we got to focus.
All right, there's Dion. Did he convince you with that?
I just don't see why he would make this move. No, that comment doesn't mean anything. That's the kind of thing a coach says right before he leaves.
Yes.
But I still think...
Or Dan Lanning yesterday being like, I'm not going anywhere. It's like, that's exactly what people say as soon as they leave.
Yeah, I think it's an unlikely... I still think it's an unlikely choice for Dion to go there because I don't think it's such an upgrade over Colorado he has to jump on that job.
I could see it. I mean, I could see it just because you're recruiting in Texas. They're going to pay you boatloads. I know he already has money, but people who have money want more money. And going to the SEC is the ultimate test. The SEC or the Big Ten, that's the way college is going. No disrespect to the Big 12 or the ACC, but this is the creme de la creme. And the SEC even more than the Big Ten, I guess. So, and meanwhile, I make fun of Dan Lanning. I don't know what else you're supposed to say. Like, you have to emphatically deny everything, even though it makes you look silly later on.
One name I love that's coming up. So Dan Campbell, the Lions coach, went to Texas A&M. Everybody's saying, they should reach out to him. That would be amazing. But there's no way.
Why would he do that?
No one is successful in the NFL goes back down to college football. Has that ever happened? Well, you're not going to be 12-5 and then say, you know what? I've had enough of this.
Let me go back to being in high school recruits' living rooms and trying to convince their parents to.
If you're 4-13, then college football looks good. But I don't think that Dan Campbell has a chance.
Well, I mean, Chip Kelly had a couple 10-win seasons, didn't he? He had one 10-win season with the Eagles. And then went back to college. But he had flamed out in the NFL.
Did you get a report yesterday? Chip Kelly's going to get fired at UCLA after the USC game. This is a tough business, college football. Because Chip Kelly has been pretty good there.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. No, everyone in the NFL is going to be looking for the next Dan Campbell, which is a guy who instills a culture, has the toughness, the gravitas of a future player, and also is an analytics guy. And has combined the nerd part of football and the jock part of football probably better than any head coach in the NFL.
I think everyone wants the next Mike McDaniel. They don't think a guy who's that big can actually understand that stuff. They're going to go for Ben Johnson. They're looking for the hot offensive coordinators.
I think that Campbell is the perfect mix of the two. Chris is in Patterson, New Jersey. We were talking about the question, is LeBron James, do you consider him a tough guy, like a tough player? We're talking about other guys, tough versus hothead. Chris, what do you have? Chris, are you there?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm right here. Ronnie Lott, number 42, San Francisco Giants. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, if we're just talking about, guys who are super tough. We talked about Troy Polamalu, Ronnie Lott. Chris, you're right. way to catch that because he was amazing.
Ronnie Lott cut his finger off to play a football game.
He did.
That was the best move Ronnie Lott ever did.
Is it though?
Yeah, because what's the first thing everyone says? Ronnie Lott, dude cut off his finger.
First thing when I got a chance to meet him the first thing you look at is his hands. You have to.
I don't need that finger because the ring don't go on that one.
I know. It's amazing. Chris, it almost seems like, and thank you for the phone call, it's wild. Adrenaline is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you use, unfortunately, a lot of those safeties have now had run into major problems.
Absolutely.
But in the 80s, there was no more kamikaze position than an NFL safety. That's
Junior
real tough.
Seau, another tough guy.
Oh, yeah.
And he was a tough guy who was like a lover on the outside, very genial and, very calm sort of dude. And then on the field was totally different. Maybe Polamalu's the same way.
Well, I think but I don't think that Junior Seau dominated every aspect of the game. There were some guys who were just in there to hit with their helmets. Like, remember, Eagles had Andre Waters who died. There was a lot of those guys who basically weren't as good. But Ronnie Lott was actually a dominant player.
Totally. It is Wednesday, which means the Great Debate Series continues this week in honor of the 6 game-winning field goals in the NFL. We're doing the greatest game winners of all time. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining.
Sorry, just looking and waiting for this to load. Yeah, I see it here. Okay. This is Maggie Gray with a CBS Sports Minute sponsored by Prevagen.
He's the reigning Fortnite champion. She's a Call of Duty legend. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Well, it was only a matter of time before Draymond Green got into another dust-up. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. If you missed it, you were sleeping. Can't blame you. Draymond Green last night in a Timberwolves game, Perloff, that started with some pulling on the jerseys of Klay Thompson and Jaden McDaniels, then led to Rudy Gobert kind of grabbing Klay Thompson around the waist/chest. Draymond comes in, puts Rudy Gobert in a chokehold, like legit chokehold, with Steve Kerr and the other coaches saying, let him go, let him go. And that got everybody basically kicked out of the game.
I can't believe he did this in the sacred in-season tournament of the NBA. How dare he risk the Warriors' chances of getting that $500,000, considering he's earned $200 million in his life. Sorry, that's just a dig at the in-season tournament. I'm still not into it. I don't care how bright the courts are. Yeah, I mean, this is smart by Draymond. What's the worst suspension? They give him 10 games? We have about, 14 months left of this NBA season. This is making an early statement. I think this actually helps the Warriors who are struggling.
Helps
it's a wake-up
call.
Helps them. They need to do something. Basically, when Steph's off the court, the team just completely folds. So something's going wrong. Why not get out there and mix it up?
Yeah,
and
great.
Miss 10 games now and not
Steph
hand him away?
If Steph Curry's on the court, it doesn't matter if Draymond's there or not.
I was going to say, great timing with Steph Curry going in for an MRI on his back yesterday because he took a hard fall in the Warriors' last game against the T-Wolves over the weekend, and that was a loss by Golden State. So now he's got a back. He was seen grabbing at his knee also, so we got that going on. And Curry's been handling too much of the load. How does this help that?
Draymond's useless if Steph Curry's on the team. You might as well play Moody and Kuminga. What's the point of Draymond without Curry? Because you need offense. Draymond's completely ineffective without Steph Curry there.
I get that, but also, isn't Draymond the future Hall of Famer, this great defensive player of our generation, multiple-time defensive player of the year? If you are completely ineffective without Steph Curry on the court, then to me, what are we doing? And he's literally choking Gobert. I mean, he's got to get a big suspension, and now you just put more pressure on Curry for whenever he does return to carry even more of the load. It's nuts.
What's a fair suspension for this? I mean, does the guy be at least 10? Is the guy be at least 5?
10 minimum.
10 minimum? That's what I say.
So.
I think it should be 10. I don't know if the NBA goes in that hard. I don't know what the history is. Are they like the NFL? Do they look at recent stuff with Draymond Green? Do they count the Jordan Poole punch? I would hope not.
I think it's the Sabonis. I bet the Sabonis thing they would count.
When he kicked or stomped on Sabonis, they said that prior history led them to the decision to suspend him in that series.
Also, by the way, not shocking. Perloff thought that was no big deal.
I was here for that.
And I then stepped on you to see whether it felt like a big deal. And we reenacted the whole thing here. Now, I don't have necessarily the weight of Draymond, but
I miss the 90s.
ferociousness.
I miss those big, roided up monsters. Somebody would have taken Draymond's head off in that right situation.
You missed that?
Yeah, I mean, do you remember how big players got for a certain? It was bodybuilding all over the NBA because you didn't need to shoot. There was no 3-point shooting, and you'd win a game 85-78.
Yep.
It was terrible to watch.
Bars,
it was terrible to watch, but you couldn't just strangle a guy with no repercussion.
Yikes. Yeah, we don't have the goons and the enforcers like we used to. There's just no place in the league right now for a Charles Oakley or something.
You never went after Xavier McDaniel's teammates like that.
No.
I'll tell you that right now.
855-212-4CBS. I'm sick of the antics with Draymond. I think you can't take away the 4 titles, and I know how important he is to the Golden State Warriors. But how much has he also cost the Golden State Warriors? Definitely cost you the title when you were up 3-1 against the Cavs. I mean, I think that's a no-brainer. You're up 3-1, and then he gets suspended. You busted the door open for LeBron and the Cavs to get back into that series. They won it. You maybe chased Kevin Durant out of town, which I know there were injuries and nobody's really been the same since, but you're telling me you couldn't have gotten a 3rd title with Durant when he did get healthy off the Achilles? I think that was a mistake. And the Jordan Poole punch, even if you don't like Jordan Poole, I mean, how the organization jettisoned Jordan Poole, not only had Draymond's back, but gave him the extension after you sucker punch a guy, it's all crazy to me.
Yeah, but it's resulted in 4 titles. And this day and age, with all the parity in the NBA, it's pretty miraculous that they've gotten this many titles. And now they're old. So I know you think this is the last dance. It's very hard to win at that age because you can't keep everybody healthy, and you're already seeing that. I mean, you think Clay's going to be here all year?
No, but I do think if they're peaking at the right time, why not? And I know that right now the Nuggets just look like another juggernaut, but listen, got a long season. It is hard to be the defending champs.
The West is pretty good. Are you gonna? I think the Lakers are going to be heard from again too.
The T-Wolves are good.
Well, no.
Okay.
Yeah, playoffs. We're talking playoffs, not regular season.
Yeah, 855-212-4CBS. Your thoughts on Draymond Green. Where do you fall on this? Does he done more harm than good? Or, like Perloff says, if you're going to have Draymond, you just have to accept the entire Draymond experience. It is Wednesday, which means we do the Great Debate Series.
The Great Debate Series.
All right, well, we usually do this kind of loosely based on the news, if you will. So we had 6 game-winning field goals in the NFL between Sunday and then Monday with the Denver Broncos. So we started thinking about the greatest game winners of all times. You can call them walk-offs. You can call them buzzer beaters. All throughout sports, just the greatest moments where it was a final moment and that led to the win.
Right. We're not saying the Browns' Week 9-10 win over the Ravens is one of the great moments in sports history. It's a bit of a loose affiliation here, but I love a buzzer beater. There's nothing. That's what you remember. It has. So what are the rules? Does it have to be 0-0 on the clock, or can you have a little bit left?
I think that it's got to be like double, triple zeros on the clock. Like this is the final play. This is the final moment, but maybe you could quibble with that a little bit.
Okay, the other thing, I think you need a nickname if you're going to have this play.
All right. You want to start us off?
Yeah, you have to be known by either a nickname or a shorthand where everyone knows it. Because you're talking all-time buzzer beaters. This is pretty crazy. You have all of sports history. There have been many, many of them. In baseball, I saw there has been 11 walk-offs in World Series history.
Yeah.
Obviously, basketball, you have the famous buzzer beaters. Hockey, I assume there's something. I don't really. Actually, hockey's kind of hard to have a buzzer beater. But to me, the greatest buzzer beater or whatever you want to call it, game winner in the last second has to be from the NFL. And I'm going with the Immaculate Reception. It's the best nickname for any play of all time. But when you think about the impact and how crazy that play was, imagine if this happened in social media era. Terry Bradshaw drops back, and this is a Steelers team who's not won anything. Drops back, no time left, flings an ill-advised pass in the middle of the field, bounces off maybe one of the Steelers' helmets, but whatever. We're not going to get into the legality of this. Bounces off someone's hands, lands at Franco Harris's hands, runs it in the end zone, and makes NFL history.
Last chance for the Steelers. Bradshaw trying to get away. And his pass is broken up by Tatum. Tipped off. Franco Harris has it. And he's over. Look! Franco Harris grabbed the ball on a deflection.
Okay.
It's a great call.
So then from there, the Steelers going to win 4 Super Bowls that decade. I think the Immaculate Reception fueled this great dynasty because they didn't know how to win until that play. And also, it is it's more unlikely than any play that's going to be on this list. The odds of Franco Harris being there and picking it off the ground, and there's still people who want instant replay on that, are minuscule. There's no way that happens, and it happened. To me, that's the greatest buzzer beater in sports history.
It was amazing. I mean, the statue for Franco Harris right there in the Pittsburgh airport. I mean, of all the legendary players who have played for the Steelers, like, he's the guy who gets the statue because of it. And may he rest in peace. He just passed away not that long ago. To me, the greatest game winner of all time, and you want to talk about impact that it had, both domestic and global, it is Brandi Chastain in the 1999 Women's World Cup, winning it over China.
But this is it. If Brandi Chastain scores, the USA win the World Cup. Brandi Chastain does it! And the USA are world champions once again. Jubilation on and off the field.
Well, he forgot one important detail, which is she rips her shirt off and she has her sports bra, just her gripping her shirt on her knees on the ground, becomes one of the great, not only sports photographs of all time, but becomes a symbol for like women's empowerment. I'm not sure how men took that shot, maybe a little different. That's the most iconic watershed, beyond maybe like Billie Jean King, moment for women. Brandi Chastain, think about this. When she was in high school, they didn't have a women's soccer team. She had to play on the boys' team. She kicks that penalty kick. They win that World Cup. It creates an explosion for women's sports and soccer. Again, like Billie Jean King, there's been people before her. But soccer becomes this incredible force for women in this country where the TV ratings and actually the money are more comparable between men and women in this country than any other sport we have. Men's soccer, women's soccer are equal, almost equal in terms of audience and pay. And this was an incredible moment with the iconic photo. Yeah. And this is the greatest walk-off, like greatest game winner because of the impact it had on a generation, 2 generations of young women.
Yeah, that's a great one. I'm just surprised you didn't go with that great Buffalo Bills buzzer beater. Oh, right, they lost all those games. So I think you went in the opposite direction. You wanted to stay away from football. And you could have done the Mets, though.
I could have done the Mets. Definitely, I could have.
But actually, that wasn't a buzzer beater, was it?
No, it was. But it wasn't the game to win the World Series. Right. It was Game 6, but there was a Game 7.
Okay, so Mookie, I'm talking about the Bill Buckner play.
Yeah.
You were too young. You don't really remember.
I was 3. But I obviously know it
quite
well.
Okay. Brandi Chastain, that's a good one. It was penalty kicks, though.
It's the walk-off. It's the buzzer beater. It's the game winner.
Yeah.
You guys want to chime in?
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, when I think of the greatest athlete of all time, I still say Michael Jordan.
Yep.
And when I think of the moment that really catapulted him into kind of a next stratosphere, entering that GOAT conversation, it began with the shot over Elo.
The inbounds pass comes into Jordan. Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win it! They win it! Set the Cleveland Cavaliers. Michael Jordan hits it at the foul line. 1-100.
At that moment, Michael Jordan wasn't really seen as a great winner yet. He was seen as a great player. He's in a league with Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas. Yeah. And that moment, I think people thought, oh, this guy isn't just a guy who's going to score 1 million points. This is one of the most clutch players we have in our league.
But hold on. It's a great moment. It was the first round of the playoffs, right? Against the Cavs. The other thing, Michael Jordan had a game winner in college in the championship game. Was there double zeros on the clock,
Wasn't a buzzer beater, though.
Wasn't a buzzer beater.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Is there the better Jordan moment is the push-off on Russell?
That's up there. Also not a buzzer beater, though.
That wasn't a buzzer.
I wanted to go with a true buzzer beater. And to me, the shot in North Carolina is like his origin story. But this is almost like, I don't know, it's like when the hero kind of wins his first big battle. Like, the shot in North Carolina is, getting bit by the spider if you're Spider-Man. And then this shot is, him beating Green Goblin. Like, this was like, oh, wow, this is someone who's special.
Carlos, you want to hit us off?
Oh, yeah. So I will preface this by saying I also had the shot first. So that was my initial reaction. But after giving it about 5 seconds of thought, nobody outside of New York is going to care about this. But Lawrence Tynes sending the Giants to the Super Bowl in the 2007
wow. In Lambeau.
NFC it was like, the temperature was brick. So,
Tom Coughlin got like frostbite on his face.
Yeah, but what was crazy about that game is he missed 2 field goals before that. So the Packers had the ball to start overtime, and then Lawrence Tynes was able to get it back after Corey Webster picked off Brett Favre, and it led to this moment.
And here we are again. 47-yard try, his longest attempt of the game. He has missed his last 2. Can he send the Giants to the Super Bowl? The kick is good, and the Giants are going to the Super Bowl.
I remember jumping up and down in my friend's living room, and my friend's dad, who didn't speak a lick of English, barely watched football American. He watched soccer.
Yeah.
Ran into the living room and started jumping with us because the Giants went into the Super Bowl.
Wow.
That moment was nuts. So that's my number 2 moment.
That's wild. Okay. Didn't even have that one on the list.
Larry Tynes.
Love is he Scottish, I think? Lawrence Tynes. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, great debate today. The greatest game winners of all time. We started off here. Adam's in Vancouver's got one. Good morning, Adam. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you guys doing today?
Fantastic.
Good. Well, I'm going to bring you some more Canadian content. Sure. And Perloff, I know this one's probably going to hurt you, but 1993, Joe Carter walk-off home run in the World Series to bring the Blue Jays their second World Series in a row. I don't care what anyone says. That's Canada's team, and that is also, like, everyone says, Canada's team is Seattle because they're right there. I don't care. No, it's the Blue Jays.
Adam, this is what it sounded like.
Joe has had his moments. 2 balls and 2 strikes on it. Here's the pitch on the way. A swing and a belt. Left field. Way back. Blue Jays win it. The Blue Jays are World Series champions. As Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run in the 9th inning, and the Blue Jays have repeated as World Series champions. Touch them all, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
Great call. Jack Buck, right, on that call? Joe's dad, right?
Yeah. Turned out to be true. He never did hit a home run.
Well, I just think this is karma. And Adam, thank you for the phone call and fantastic call. This is when you always talk about how the Bills are on the wrong end of things. It was only appropriate. The first call we get on this, it was a game winner against your Phillies.
Yeah, but the Phillies went on to win the World Series. Took a few years. 2007. Yeah. I love that Phillies team that they beat. But I knew, it was funny, I never expected them to go to the World Series, much like the last 2 Phillies teams. They weren't that good. They were just dirty and scrappy, and unfortunately, most of them are either dead or in jail right now because it was that kind of team. It's just facts. It's just facts.
A lot of reality.
But that was such an underdog, scrappy team that doesn't kill me. And honestly, if you're a neutral fan, who doesn't like Joe Carter? He's kind of got 100% approval rating.
No doubt.
Him and Kirby Puckett.
855, good call. 855-212-4CBS. All right, the great debate is the best game winners of all time. I have Brandy Chastain, 99 World Cup. Perloff.
Immaculate Reception.
EJ is going with Michael Jordan shot over Craig Elo. Carlos is going with Lawrence Tynes kicking the Giants to the Super Bowl in Lambeau.
Can we talk one thing about, we've been accused of being biased against historical ones. Yeah. I think the shot heard around the world is 1950. Is that too old to get into this conversation?
It's definitely not too old.
Okay.
Well, Bobby Thompson, no, of course.
Okay, because I do think some people could say, oh, you guys tend to skew too modern. Like, was Lawrence Tynes really greater than Bill Mazeroski?
That's for the audience to decide.
The other issue is, why does Craig Elo always have to take shrapnel over this shot from Michael Jordan? There is probably no player in history who's been highlighted more than Craig Elo in a negative way.
I was going to say Russell, the same.
And look, if Mike Fratello would listen to Ron Harper, it would not have been Craig Elo, because Ron Harper told him in the huddle, like, I got MJ. Yeah. And Mike Fratello's like, no, Elo's got him. He's all right, F this BS. Yeah. And then Michael Jordan hits a shot of Elo, and I'm sure there's an Earth 2 or multiverse where Ron Harper maybe gets a stop on Jordan. Maybe Jordan doesn't become the greatest player.
And Brian Russell gets a stop in that Earth 2 as well.
Maybe there is
Brian Russell.
I love this idea. I've never heard of more alternate universes than when we started working with EJ. I love how this is like a thing.
This is what I bring to the
Ralph
table.
Branca strikes out Bobby Thompson. That would be,
alternate
the
sports
Bills
universe.
actually win the.
Bill Buckner makes the play.
Bills win 4 straight Super Bowls instead of losing 4 straight Super Bowls.
Man,
They're the greatest
The
dynasty
win
of all time.
takes that Norwood kick. Oh, I'm sorry,
My whole
Maggie.
life-
It's just too easy.
Thank you. My whole life would be different, I think. I really do. I think my whole life would be different if 2 things happen. One, if Scott Norwood hits that field goal, I think my whole life is different. And 2, I think if Tyson Bagent's dad was my dad, I think my life's totally different. If my dad was a champion arm wrestler, I just think I'm a different person.
What do you think would be the difference? Like, what do you think you'd be doing? Let's start with Bagent, because that was the last one.
Yeah, I think that I'd probably be in like some bar somewhere arm wrestling chicks. I think I would.
Wait, you don't do that now?
Side hustle. 855-212-4CBS. I meant as a career, Carlos. 855-212-4.
She's getting paid for her work, Carlos. Come on.
I just do it for fun now. Okay, you're welcome to call in. Best game winners of all time. We also see you guys on the phones. We're talking about Draymond Green choking Rudy Gobert last night, a chokehold during the game, and a dust-up. Yes, that's what's going on today. 855-212-4CBS. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break.
tortoise. That's the other problem. Trust me, I fantasize a lot about this. How are you going to kill it? You have to drown it, right?
Oh my God.
Drown a tortoise? Isn't it under?
It's amphibious. Google, how do I kill a tortoise?
I was thinking, I live on the 8th floor. If I dropped him out the window, would the shell crack and he die? Because I can't.
What
the
is
worst
wrong with your
sounds
family? Inhumane. Don't
because
do
the
that.
worst torture would be to put him out on the streets. That would be awful.
How about Central Park? There's parks in New York City. I know people think it's just asphalt.
He would die a terrible death in Central Park.
Dropping him from a building?
Yes, that's much better. He'd die like that.
You don't know that.
Maybe. No, he would have 0 point. How would he eat in Central Park?
He'd be scared before. He'd probably be scared when you're putting him out the window. Say, all right, goodbye. Like, you want to put him through that torture?
Don't do that.
You let him die over the course of 2 months in a foreign environment over Central Park. It would be terrible.
Perloff, tourists are going to feed him like hot dog bits and stuff.
trust me, my sister's right. You got to kill them on the spot. That is the humane way to do it.
Trust my murderous
It's by
sister.
far the humane way to do
Next
it.
is always better.
You want to let a chicken wander the streets of Framingham trying to find kernels of corn somewhere?
How many missing husbands does your sister have?
Danny didn't really want to live.
It's not easy to kill a tortoise. That's the other problem.
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Carlos pivoting from wrestling calls to We Are the Champions because we're debating the greatest buzzer beater or walk-off or final play in sports history. You can call us 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227 with yours. Maggie, you went with?
I went with Brandi Chastain, the 1999 Women's World Cup penalty kick win over China, inspired multiple generations of young girls to play soccer.
I went with the Immaculate Reception. EJ?
I went with the shot over Elo from MJ.
And Carlos, I love yours.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, what was I thinking? I went with Lawrence Tynes kicking the Giants into the Super Bowl.
It's amazing. We're all talking about, listen, Lawrence Tynes' kick was an all-timer. I know people in Lambeau certainly remember that one in Wisconsin, but it's like, does it really stack up? The Immaculate Reception.
You need a nickname, and obviously Brandi Chastain does not have a nickname, but you say sports and sports bra.
Yeah.
What's the play you think of? Everyone knows that play.
Ripping the shirt off, which, I'm sure for men maybe had a different significance, but for women was like a symbol of women's empowerment, iconic watershed moment. Andrew Bogusch, do you have a best game winner of all time?
I do. You're all wrong. The obvious answer is Stephane Matteau scoring in double overtime, Game 7, 94 Eastern Conference Final. Rangers beat the Devils, then beat the Canucks to end their unnecessarily long Stanley Cup drought.
Oh, yeah,
and
of course.
The only person who we can say we know the person who made the call.
Correct.
Matteau.
Yeah, Howie Rose.
Yep. The voice of the Mets. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Before we get to headlines, let's get a couple of these calls in. Adrian's in Maryland. He's our pal. Good morning, Adrian. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Happy Wednesday, guys.
You too.
Hey, I got the late, great Kirby Puckett, Jack Buck call. It's the home run, and Jack says, I'll see you tomorrow morning. See you tomorrow night.
1991. This is what it sounded like.
Into deep left center from Mitchell, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
Amazing. And when Joe Buck did the homage to his dad, right? That was Joe Buck did "We'll see you tomorrow night" for, I believe, the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, I think
right?
it was one of the Cardinals
The David Freese
Rangers,
home run, I believe,
right?
right?
Yeah.
It's a David Freese home run, which is pretty amazing. Adrian, fantastic one. Thank you so much for the call. Let's get to Shane. He's in Los Angeles. Shane, what do you have?
Yes, I believe the 1995 NCAA tournament with UCLA and Missouri with Ty Zetny, 4.8 seconds left, and they would go on to win their 11th championship after beating Arkansas. I think that would be one.
It's a great one.
Yeah.
So it was double zeros, right, for that one?
I don't know.
We were talking about that, Shane. It's fantastic. Does this have to be double, triple zeros on the clock? I think that one was.
Our understanding is that we were going to do walk-off style here.
Yes.
Because first we started with walk-offs, but since, there aren't really walk-offs in basketballs, and we can't say buzzer beaters for baseball, so,
Game winners.
Game winners, walk-off style.
My problem with college basketball is you can do a lot of different plays, but doesn't the Christian Laettner shot overwhelm all the other plays? Maybe that's my bias.
I think there's a Keith Smart. You could do that.
Yeah.
It's in
Even
the championship
so,
game.
But that wasn't a
was in
buzzer
the-
beater, was it? Keith
It
Smart?
might not have been.
It was not.
It was not. Neither was Jordan's. But the Valvano play was a buzzer beater. The Derek
it was.
Wittenberg
Yeah.
against Houston and Chris
that's a good
Jenkins
one.
for Nova.
Well, we have that one right here. Corby is in Boise. Good morning, Corby.
Yeah, I kind of ruined my flow there, but
Of course I did.
Chris,
So bogus.
Chris Jenkins and Villanova
Untitled is in there.
2016.
We have Chris Jenkins call.
Yeah, I'm in Boise. That Tyus Edney shot was in
Untitled
Boise,
Project
by the way.
28.
Let's hear.
Nice.
Corby, thank you. We did not ruin it at all. Here's what it sounded like, Chris Jenkins for Villanova.
Going to go length of the court with Archie Diacono. 3 seconds at midcourt. Jenkins gives it to Jenkins for the championship. The national champions with Jenkins hitting the winner at the buzzer. Jim, they're going to check it. I thought it was good live, but how about those onions? A counter.
And then the tragedy of the explosions. I remember the next
Just
morning
it's
having a lot of fun with the
cannons.
confetti cannons.
Jeez. How about Nance getting up for the big call, though?
Yeah.
Does that guy deliver or what? We just take Nance for granted.
Yeah.
Like, he's so good on all these calls.
Yeah, he doesn't mail it in like other guys.
He's awesome.
But then he gives Chris Jenkins his tie, which to me spoils the call.
That doesn't happen on the air.
No, but it happens right afterwards. And it's such a weird idea.
Wait,
in
do you guys
practice.
put that one over Mario Chalmers? I'm obviously a Villanova fan from Philadelphia, but Chalmers beat Derrick Rose.
And Chalmers, though, is to send it to overtime.
Yeah.
It
Oh, is
wasn't
that what
the
it
game
was?
winner.
Oh, in
It
my
was to
mind,
send
that
it
was a
to
game winner. I
overtime.
screwed that up.
That.
Yeah. Let's keep going here. Tyler's in Idaho. Got an idea about where this one might be going. Hey, Tyler, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. How are you guys this morning?
Fantastic. What's your best game winner?
So I'm going 2007 Fiesta Bowl, Boise State 2-point conversion over Oklahoma.
It's awesome. This is what it sounded like.
A last gasp for the Broncos.
Bransky's legs might be critical here to save time on throwing the ball.
Down the middle, James, the lateral to the corner of the end zone. Can you believe that?
The lateral on a 4th and 18. Unbelievable, Tyler. Thank you so much. We talked about that one when we were doing our research here.
It's still one of the most famous games in college football history, which is funny because you think of Alabama and all those schools. That game just lasts. Everything, the proposal, everything that happened there.
Well, EJ had a good point, which was if this was the era of NIL, how rich would that couple have gotten?
Yeah, Ian Johnson proposing to the cheerleader on the sidelines. I mean, I feel bad for a lot of these athletes, but him especially. And cheerleaders get NIL money too, I think, because it's a sport. So, yeah, that could have been a huge deal for those two.
Yeah. Did they get any endorsements off of that?
I don't think
Was he a senior?
they did.
Yeah, I don't know. That would have just been like tragic to not be able to cash in on your best moment. I mean, it's America. But
Well, I don't think he had to pay for a drink in Boise. That's worth something.
that's true. I mean, you're always immortalized in that call. Keep them coming, guys. Best game winners of all time is the great debate. Andrew Bogish is here with headlines. Good morning.
Good morning again. Some are saying the NBA Rookie of the Year race ended last night. Chet Holmgren, 9 points, 7 rebounds to lead the Thunder's 123-87 rout of Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs. Wemby missing 11 of 15 shots, unable to stop his team skid again. It's now 6 losses in a row. The question persists, can Wemby and Greg Popovich coexist?
He's trying to learn from us just as much as we're learning from him. And it's going to be, as I told you, it's going to be a long-term project.
How do you say coach killer in French?
I saw Wemby take a three-pointer last night that hit the backboard and then hit the rim and then bounce out that. You don't hit the backboard on a three-point shot. It's ugly right now. I mean, and also he has no interest in being within 10 feet of the paint. I don't know if that's a bad thing, but he is. I'm sorry. Everything I said about him in the offseason is now coming true. That dude is soft.
Okay, well, if he wins Rookie of the Year, Perloff has to drive to San Antonio, holding up a sign, apologizing to Wemby in French on the Riverwalk. Now, the Chet Holmgren thing, here's where I'm going to call some BS. I don't think you should be able to win Rookie of the Year when you've been in the NBA for a full year. You just didn't get a chance to play. They call this the Joel Embiid special or the Ben Simmons special. I think this stuff sucks because even if you're not playing, you're getting the rhythm of an NBA season. Maybe you're doing the travel or at least part of it. Like, you're not a true rookie if you've been in the league for a year.
This is something they got hurt in the preseason.
Created by shoe companies.
Is this because of the bet?
No, I've always had this beef.
Okay.
I've been holding on to it, and I haven't been telling you guys, but I've secretly been fuming about it.
I think you should let it go, man.
Yeah.
I will not.
Go back to the Bills.
How could Chet Holmgren only score 9 points? I need Chet Holmgren to step up here. You know, he had that extra year. He's got it. He's my best hope now. I do not want to drive to San Antonio because Wemby has won 12 games and won Rookie of the Year. And by the way, Popovich.
Evil laugh there from Boog.
Is Greg Popovich doing a good job here if they don't win any games? Is that okay? When do they need to turn this around and win some basketball games?
I don't think they're expected to win a lot of games.
I think
they're
you're
not a
right.
good team. I mean, they don't have a point guard. I mean, they're playing Jeremy Sohan as a starter at point guard, and he's a 6'8" power forward.
Yeah, no, they're definitely bad. I watched that game last night. I mean, Josh Giddey, who I think I could cover, was tearing them apart.
Giddey's nice, though.
He's nice, but he's soft.
No great coach has been allowed to lose like Greg Popovich has been permitted to lose. I mean, look at Belichick. We are lambasting this dude.
2 seasons in of losing, and Popovich is how many years now?
Meanwhile, Bill Belichick did make the playoffs with Mac Jones. Let that sink in now that we've seen what Mac Jones is really like. And meanwhile, Popovich can go season after season. Everyone's like, he's a genius. He's setting it all up. And listen, maybe he is because they got Wemby.
And he's just got a 5-year extension that takes him through like age 80.
Yeah, he won't give
He's
it up.
Going nowhere.
He's got all these heir apparents all over the league. Won't give it
And
up.
similar to Belichick, I mean, I know they have had GMs and front office people, but in many ways, he's kind of his own front office person. So you talk about the roster they put together prior to this. I mean, that Kawhi Leonard trade was a disaster. I mean, they got DeMar DeRozan back and couldn't use him correctly. They traded him to the Bulls, and DeRozan turns into, an All-NBA caliber player. And they hit the tank button, and it ended up working eventually with Victor Wembanyama, but they couldn't figure out the DeJounte Murray thing. They had the Josh Primo pick, and he ended up having issues. They had to release him. That
he
was a
was
lottery
harassing the team psychologist.
Right.
But EJ will not stand for that R.C. Buford slander.
Yeah, I thought R.C. Buford was a G.
Oh, come on now.
By the way,
you
you
don't
got
run the show there.
You know how Maggie's got to let go of the Rookie of the Year thing? Whatever this beef with the Spurs front office, Josh Primo, they screwed up the Josh Primo thing. I'm sorry, I think you're losing the audience on that one.
He turned out to be a gigantic weirdo.
Yeah, exactly.
But he was like the 17th pick, wasn't he?
No, he was a top 12 pick. He was like 11, I think. And they overdrafted him. He was the youngest guy in the draft. I think he was 18 years old. And they drafted him 11 for a team that needed talent, and then you cut him after 1 year? That's a terrible job by the team.
Kind of felt like they covered for him, which felt a little
Right, there's that
hypocritical with
too.
Pop because he always calls out everyone else. Anyway, that's a lot about the Spurs. Back to Bogut.
Klay Thompson and Jaden McDaniels pushed and shoved. Rudy Gobert tried to break them up, ended up in a chokehold courtesy of Draymond Green. That all happened a minute 43 into last night's Warriors T-Wolves game. Klay, Dre, and McDaniels all ejected. Minnesota eventually won 107-104, extending its win streak to 7. Miami's run is 6 after a 111-105 win in Charlotte. Jimmy Butler, a season-high 32. The Pacers cooled off the Sixers, 132-126. Philly had somehow won 8 in a row, and the Lakers handled the Grizzlies 134-107. They're now 5-0 at home. LeBron, 16 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists in 23 minutes after missing a game with a bruised calf. We've got a change that is atop the college football playoff rankings. Georgia, the new number 1, replacing Ohio State after back-to-back top 15 wins. The Buckeyes, Wolverines, and Knowles finished the top 4. again followed by Washington and Oregon. There was yelling last night on Duke Radio from Learfield.
On the drive, 7-6, another screen at the top of the key, kicks to the right, Foster again, big time! Caleb Foster dials it up! Timeout, Tom Izzo!
David Shue made after a Caleb Foster three that helped number 9 Duke close out a 74-65 win over number 18 Michigan State in the Champions Classic in Chicago. Foster.
I'm on the Caleb Foster bandwagon.
I'm sure you are.
That guy has no athleticism and just sits at the three-point line and just drains them. He's amazing.
18 points off the bench last night. Hunter Dickinson followed that with 21 boards. Top-ranked Kansas, an 89-84 win in Chicago over number 17 Kentucky. Fourth-ranked Marquette, a 71-64 winner at number 23 Illinois. We briefly mentioned the Yankees' dumpster fire of an offseason back in hour number 1. A quick reminder that it began with promising to bunt more, as Aaron Boone wishes. Then Brian Cashman dropped F-bombs to defend his front office, and now Cashman calling out Giancarlo Stanton for his long list of injuries, which led to Stanton's agent cautioning free agents against signing in the Bronx. But I can't enjoy any of it because the Mets stink, just got spurned by Craig Counsell, had to hire the Yankee bench coach as manager instead.
It was a very pointed sports update.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
With your CBS Sports Minute. A couple other things. Matt Eberflus can't vocalize it, so outsiders are saying Justin Fields is in line to return from his thumb injury this weekend, barring a setback in practice this week. And you can have your hockey smut. I want hockey drug references. I believe this is Daryl Razor Ray tagging Matt Duchene's overtime goal last night on Stars Radio.
Pass to Dutchie from the right-hand side.
Get out of here.
Puff give.
Get out of here.
Hand to God, that's what he said. Took a while to get there. That's like 30 seconds or more after the goal, but passed to Dutchie from the right-hand side. Amen to that. Smoke him if you got him. The Stars beat the Coyotes 4-3 for a 4-game win streak.
Are you sure? I mean, I know we become a San Jose Sharks show, but should we go to the Stars?
We need more than one team. We can switch as much as Perloff does.
I mean, the people listen to the show and in our chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio, are weirdos who smoke a lot of weed. So maybe that's a little more of our speed.
Talking directly to them.
Staying loyal to the Sharks, by the way.
You are?
I already claimed the Rangers, so if I'm going to do a second team, I got to save the Sharks. I can't have a third team at this point.
All right, but I got to be honest, we didn't really give them much of a bump. The power of our show hasn't really led to them winning quite a bit.
Well, they've won 2 games when they hadn't won any, so I think that's actually an infinite bump.
You're welcome, San Jose.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to be getting San Jose Sharks of this season on our best game-winning moments of all time, but that is the great debate series for today. Thank you, Bogish. The greatest game winners ever. We see you guys on the phones. We're going to get back to your phone calls, and we'll reset our favorite game winners in sports history. Don't move. It's Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
John Cena for you. And we've been playing a lot of professional wrestler music this morning because Draymond Green was doing his best impersonation of a pro wrestler. But for real, guys, putting Rudy Gobert in a chokehold last night in I don't know if I can say a melee, a dust-up, a kerfuffle, Donnybrook that happened last night between the Warriors and the Timberwolves. So we're expecting a pretty big suspension for Draymond Green.
It gets a little more serious than a Donnybrook when someone puts someone in a chokehold.
Yeah, I think of a Donnybrook, it's like two guys like boxing Jack Dempsey style.
Yeah, and a kerfuffle is definitely not a chokehold. A kerfuffle is nobody lands a punch.
Okay. So I guess it was somewhere between a Donnybrook and a kerfuffle.
No, it's more extreme than this.
Okay. It was more like but it's not a melee.
It's a melee.
All right.
That was definitely a melee.
I think the Malice of the Palace is a melee. That was obviously incredibly
that's
serious.
Yeah, big time.
Meanwhile, the question is about Draymond and the antics. I mean, Perloff thinks you need basically all of Draymond. You've got to accept all of him. If you want the good, you've got to take the bad. I'm over it. I think he's cost his team at times, and he's just putting more pressure on them now with Steph Curry dealing with a back issue. Jack is in Seattle. Been waiting a bit. Jack, thanks so much for hanging on. What do you think about Draymond?
Hey, we were talking about walk-offs earlier. Draymond tried to walk off with Rudy Gobert in a chokehold just now last night. I think he's seeing his own mortality. I mean, he's an older player. He's undersized. I mean, these boys in the NBA are great these days, and the league has caught up to him. And I just want to talk about Klay Thompson also because he gets a pass, but he's been chippy the last 2 years with Phoenix and Devin Booker counting his rings, and he's been starting stuff also. Those two are seeing their mortality. They're older players, and they're not what they used to be, and that's what I think is causing these fights. I say get rid of Draymond. He's not worth the headache.
I know, but Jack, they did the opposite. And again, thank you for the phone call. They did the opposite. They just extended Draymond. Like they go to bat for him. They love him. They, cape for him at every moment and cover for him at every moment. Explain away, enable, whatever you want to use, whatever word you want to use.
Yeah, I agree with what he's saying about it. Klay is definitely old and grumpy now. It's an older, grumpier, and it happens. You lose a step and you get kind of. It's harder to get out of bed in the morning. Trust me, I relate to all this. You see me in my Saturday morning run. Oh God, it's like complain about everything. Klay is me now.
Yeah, you and Klay Thompson, same. On Wednesdays, we do something called the Great Debate Series, which is big sports debates, loosely based on the news. We had a lot of walk-off and game-winning field goals in the NFL this week, Perloff. So we're doing greatest game winners of all time. It can be any sport. It doesn't have to be football. Buzzer beaters, walk-offs in baseball, game winners. I actually went with Brandi Chastain of the 1999 Women's World Cup because of the impact, not only that penalty kick had of beating China, what the impact it had on young women in sports, and her iconic photo of ripping off her shirt where she's on just in her sports bra and shorts, like celebrating.
Yeah, and by the way, this is very loosely based on the news because I don't think that the Cardinals win over the Falcons is exactly the same as mine, the Immaculate Reception, or
I don't know, Carlos, but Lawrence Tynes kicking the Giants to the 07 Super Bowl, which was a big one to beat the Patriots. It was big.
Yeah, at least the playoffs.
Yeah,
I went Immaculate Reception.
EJ,
I went with the shot MJ over Elo.
We've been getting a lot of people calling in about college basketball. We already got someone called in about Chris Jenkins from Villanova, an all-time great one to win the championship. Let's go to Ty is in Boise, has another one. Hey, Ty, how are you?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Excellent. What do you have?
Awesome. So I'm going to go rapid fire real quick. So 1, Kirk Gibson in the World Series, the walk-off home run.
Yep.
2, Reggie Miller in the finals versus the Bulls. And 3, the 1983 and NCAA Finals, Jim Valvano, NC State versus Houston.
Let's hear the NC State call.
It's down to 7 seconds. You can see the time. Wittenberg. Oh, it's a long ways. Oh! They won it. On the dunk.
Great call. True buzzer beater. It will live forever with Valvano running around the field looking for someone, the court looking for someone to hug. I mean, just incredible.
Unbelievable. That was in the 80s. That's how every NCAA tournament seemed to end. Something that was historic and unforgettable. The one thing about the Reggie Miller, the fact that they didn't win the title, I think knocks it off the list. They must have lost that series. It was to the Bulls and Jordan. I remember it in The Last Dance. It was amazing, and Reggie was great at that. But don't you have to win the title that year to get in here? Although Carlton Fisk didn't win the title on that year that he did the Keep It Fair.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I knock Reggie off of that for that.
I think that's part of it, right? That's part of the debate. Do you have to have gone on to win the title for it? Like, if it was the Jordan shot over Elo, but the Bulls don't win the title that year, what does it really mean?
Yeah, I think
that was a first round.
think that's definitely part of the debate. I think when I argue the Jordan shot, I think there's a greater significance beyond that season because of what it meant for that organization coming out of that series, out of that thing.
Me and the Immaculate Reception, the Steelers didn't win that year. Right. I think they went on to lose to the perfect Miami Dolphins, but it did set up. But Reggie Miller actually lost that particular series, though.
He did, yeah.
Let's go to, how about Tom is in Ohio. Good morning, Tom.
Hey, guys. New York Giants kicker? Come on, guys.
Listen, Carlos, we all get to pick which one. Carlos wanted your.
Carlos got his taken by EJ right before, so he had to pivot quickly. To be fair,
yeah, I almost wrecked the car after that one. But hey, Christian Laettner, over Kentucky. One of the greatest buzzer beaters of all time.
Tom, you're right. This is what it sounded like.
Bobby Hurley up the floor with Leitner. They throw it to left of the floor. Leitner catches, comes down, dribbles, shoots, scores! Christian Leitner has hit the bucket at the buzzer. The Blue Devils win it, 104 to 103. Look out, Minneapolis! Here come the Blue Devils.
Amazing call, Tom. Thank you so much for suggesting that one. I mean, Leitner, an all-timer, all-time team, running down the court afterwards, the incredible throw by Grant Hill.
I had tickets to that game and did not go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. What? I went to the game before. I think I had a test the next day or something, and I decided not to go.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You, all people, were killing me for not going to a November Knicks game, and you didn't go see the elite.
I also had tickets to the Chris Jenkins game and did not go.
What?
Oh, my gosh. You got to be kidding me.
Well, we were down. I can't remember. That was in some huge stadium. I'm blanking where it was in 2016. The game before, Villanova beat Buddy Hield in Oklahoma by 100 points. And I was like, you know what? Villanova's going to kill him in the final. Again, I'm sorry. I don't even remember who they played with the buzzer beater.
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah. I was so confident. It wasn't a great North Carolina team that I flew home because I could have stayed an extra day for Villanova. No, the Leitner thing haunts me a little bit. It was at the Spectrum, the old Spectrum in Philadelphia. And I saw Grant Hill basically save Duke's season the game before against Connecticut, I think. Yeah, I screwed up. There's nothing else to say.
Wow. Wow. That's a rough one. Perloff, just admitting all these mistakes. Okay. Keep them coming, guys. We see you. Best game winners of all time. We also have some major breaking news from the NFL. We're going to get to that in just a moment. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She was the Heisman Trophy winner in 1986. He left her off the ballot. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Breaking news from the NFL, and this one is a doozy. We are just learning now from the Cleveland Browns that Deshaun Watson is undergoing season-ending shoulder surgery. That's it for the season on Deshaun Watson. Here was the statement from the Browns, is that he underwent an MRI on Monday on 2 different injuries, Perloff, that were sustained on different plays in the first half of the big win over the Baltimore Ravens. So imaging on the left ankle revealed a high ankle sprain. Then post-game, Watson notified the medical staff of a new discomfort in his right shoulder, I'm reading now, after he felt after a hit in the first half. An MRI of the right shoulder revealed a displaced fracture to the glenoid. Despite performing at a high level and finishing the game, after consultation with Browns head physician James Voss and industry-leading shoulder specialist Neil Elitrosh, it has been determined that this injury will require immediate surgical repair to avoid further structural damage. Deshaun will be placed on season-ending injured reserve, and a full recovery is expected for the start of the 2024 season.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Man.
That is a big one. I mean, the Browns just went to 6-3 off of the win over the Ravens. And not only that, guys, he got hit in the first half. We saw him leave early with the ankle. He was perfect in the second half. He was 14 for 14, did not miss a throw. We talked about how it was like a bit of a tale of two halves for Deshaun, and that maybe the second half looked more like what he did at the Texans than any other game he had played for the Browns. And was this the start of something? And it ends just like that.
Yeah, I mean, he was still, if you watch the game, your concern was obviously the leg. He was on one time he went out of bounds and started hopping around on one leg. He clearly was in a lot of pain. I'm shocked at this. I think he missed about 4 games with the shoulder injury. I have not seen the connection to the earlier shoulder injury that he hurt twice. Once whatever the original injury was. Then remember the shot where he got concussed and everyone said it wasn't a concussion?
Yeah.
He hurt his shoulder on that play too. So that guy's been taking wear and tear. I worry about this too. It's like a pitcher. a quarterback with multiple shoulder injuries is really scary. I know Drew Brees came back and had a Hall of Fame career after his, but this seems like, Deshaun Watson is headed in one direction, that's injured. Now, all the other stuff, I understand the background of Deshaun Watson, but this makes the investment look even dicier for the Browns. It's going to go down. It's already going down as one of the worst trades in NFL history, one of the worst contracts in NFL history. If he does not, I cannot believe that he'll be full strength next year. I mean, even if he is, how many games do you trust him for? You better sign a high-end backup because right now, fragility is the number one on the field issue for him.
Great point. It's been nothing but disappointments with this contract since the moment that they traded for him and signed it. And just when you thought it was about to turn the corner, just when you thought maybe this thing's going to be salvageable, we're talking about how many teams are going to make the playoffs from the AFC North. Will it be all four? Who's going to get left out? The Browns were looking like, first of all, they do have one of the best defenses in the NFL. And man, if Deshaun could only play like Deshaun, look out, this team's going to be so ferocious, and it just gets snatched away. And your backup quarterbacks of Dorian Thompson-Robinson and PJ Walker, I don't think give you a ton of confidence right now.
I mean, Walker did beat the Niners in the rain, and
that's true.
Walker also, I'm looking at the game log, they beat the Colts 39-38. So Walker's won some games that they were ready to bench him because he played so poorly against Seattle for DTR. Yeah, this is a bad situation. I blame the front office too. They knew Watson was hurt. They could have got Jacoby Brissett back in the building. They could have made a move at the trade deadline. They could have signed Carson Wentz, who's now with the Rams. I don't know who's still out there, but it seems too late. They probably, because Watson was hurt the entire first half of the season, why not bring in a veteran unless you believe in P.J. Walker? And I'm sorry, I love P.J. Walker, a Temple guy, but no.
Well, the other part is, remember the weird messaging around the shoulder? And it was like, no one could get on the same page. Did he bench himself? Did the team bench? Did he take himself out of a game, rather? Did the team want to do that? Was everyone on the same page? You're right. It seems like they would be connected. Now, the statement is saying that this happened on a separate play in the first half against the Ravens, but you'd have to think that the shoulder was already compromised at least a bit. And then you have a broken bone. I've never heard of a glenoid before. We're constantly learning of new terms as sports talk radio people. You have to basically be a part-time nurse. You have to have a really good understanding of the human body to do this job, even though we're not doctors. This one, I've never heard of a glenoid.
Yeah, immediately you think torn labrum.
Yeah.
So they play the Steelers this week. The Steelers could go to 7-3 with a completely non-impressive win again. We did the debate, I think, last week, which AFC North team falls out of the playoff race. I think you have to change your answer now, and you have to say the Browns.
I had said the Steelers. I would like to officially change that to now the Browns, which is a shame because it's a wasted year with this great defense.
I mean, it's not done. They are 6-3, and the Steelers will play anybody ugly. So PJ Walker could. I just wish they had brought in Brissett back.
So here's the rest of the way, the schedule for the Browns. Again, the division is hard, but the rest of the schedule is not insane. So maybe the sky's not falling as much. You got Pittsburgh, obviously, this weekend. That's tough. Then you're at Denver, although they are playing better, at the LA Rams. Who knows the status of Stafford? That's a mediocre team. You play Jacksonville at home.
Jacksonville not great on the road, I don't think. Or maybe they're not great at home. Anyway, Jacksonville is vulnerable right now.
Chicago at home. You're at Houston, which now looks like, remember, that was going to be like a huge game now for wild card implications. And then the New York Jets, you finish out the season at the Cincinnati Bengals. In theory, there are wins on this schedule still.
Yeah. They have the 22nd strength of schedule, and the next closest is something like 9th in the AFC North. Everyone else has a tough schedule. It's just tough to imagine. It's tough to imagine because I think you get PJ Walker or Dorian Thompson-Robinson. The other team's going to game plan against those limited quarterbacks. You don't have Nick Chubb. Maybe it's just a lost season.
Oh, man. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. You are welcome to call to weigh in. Do you think the Browns still have a shot here? I mean, again, it's a great defense. Myles Garrett, these guys are awesome. Jim Schwartz, great defensive coordinator. And now on the offensive side, can a backup quarterback continue to steer the ship here in the way it seemed like it was going? Again, Deshaun had a brilliant second half against the Ravens, going 14 for 14. Meanwhile, he was doing it all with a broken bone. Boy, 855-212-4CBS. We also have the great debate series happening today because it is a Wednesday. This stops for nobody. Our great debate today, the greatest game winners in sports history, the walk-offs, the buzzer beaters, the moments that we're never going to forget. Reset it quickly. I picked Brandi Chastain's penalty kick in the 1999 Women's World Cup. It was a crowd of 90,000 people. It was watched by 19 million people on television. It inspired multiple generations of young girls. When she kicked that PK, ripped off her shirt, sports bra, celebrating, it was a sign of women's empowerment. It was iconic, and that's why it is number one for me, Perloff.
I went with the Immaculate Reception. I've spent many hours listening to people argue if there was instant replay. Did the ball touch the ground? Franco Harris touchdown. But it also, greatest nickname in sports history, Immaculate Reception. Steelers set them up for a dynasty. By the way, we could have done a bunch of anti-Cleveland ones in this.
I'm glad we didn't now because that would be like insult to injury.
I actually had to look at it's been a tough week for Cleveland. What if one of us had done the drive or the fumble? But no, I went with Immaculate Reception.
Well, speaking of anti-Cleveland,
by the way,
Jordan with the shot over Craig Elo in 1989, Game 5 of the Eastern Conference first round.
And anti-Cleveland because that was also going to be my pick. But I went with Lawrence Tynes kicking the Giants into the Super Bowl. It was important to me, damn it.
There you go. 855-212-4CBS. Let's hear what was important to you. Mike is in San Diego. A quick correction for me, Mike, and you're right on. What do you have?
The Joe Carter home run was not Jack Buck, Maggie. It was Tom Cheek.
You're right. Bad job out of me. Thought it was Jack Buck. It wasn't. Jack Buck was Kirby Puckett. You're right, Tom. What else you got?
How about the one I never get old hearing? Vin Scully. Little roller down the first base line. It gets by Buckner.
It's so good. Mike, thank you so much for the phone call.
Who is Tom Cheek, by the way? I don't remember that guy. Is he related to Mo Cheeks?
I don't think so. Let's hear how it sounded for my Mets.
5-5 in a delirious 10th inning. Can you believe this ball game at Shea? Oh, brother. 3-2 to Mookie Wilson. Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
There you go. And then winning the World Series just felt like a formality at that point with the Game 7. Let's go to Nick is in Boise. Hey, Nick, how are you? Nick.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Nathan.
Oh, Nathan. Good morning, Nathan. Yeah. I'm sorry. It says Nick here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's my first time I've ever called a radio show.
And we got your name wrong. I mean, we're 0 for 1. What else you got?
That's okay. My biggest one was the Kirk Gibson home run. We were driving home from the mountains listening to the radio, and that was the most tense moment I've ever heard. I've seen some of those others, the Leitner shots, the other ones, but that one just sticks out in my mind as being one of the greatest.
Nick, let's
walk-off home run.
Let's all hear it together. Here it is.
Gibson swings and a fly ball to deep right field. This is going to be a home run. Unbelievable! A home run for Gibson. And the Dodgers have won the game 5-4. I don't believe what I just saw.
Fantastic call. An all-time call, an all-time moment. And then the fist pump double from Gibson as he's rounding the bases. The Tommy Lasorda jumping out of the dugout. Looking like a bowling ball.
I mean, not to bring it back to Deshaun Watson, but it was a one-legged performance, and to do that without injury is insane. It was Game 1, though. That is the only thing that makes it. I think the only argument against it is the World Series. But does it beat Robbie Thompson or does it beat Bill Mazeroski? To walk off into the parade, that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some other, yours is the divisional round, the Immaculate Reception.
Yeah, mine's a first round matchup.
First round. Carlos's was the NFC Championship game in 2007.
Has there been a Super Bowl that ended? Was the Vinatieri field goal with 0 time left?
I think both of the Super Bowls they won, I believe, ended on zeros.
Yep.
Did those end on zeros? Okay.
Malcolm Butler at the goal line was not zeros.
Yeah,
they still had to go back. Like, there was still more time in the game.
Yeah, I just watched it. There was 25 seconds left because there was time to hand the ball to Marshawn Lynch. That's why I knew it wasn't one player bust. So Vinatieri against the Rams was 0-0-0-0.
Yes. That was a 0. I believe that was a 0-0.
I'm almost certain it was 0-0.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That's amazing.
That's not too bad.
These are all amazing.
That'll get you in the Hall of Fame for Adam Vinatieri.
Oh, for sure. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. We've got more. Guys, keep them coming. The greatest game winners of all time. It does feel a little cruel to be doing this on the same day that we learned that Deshaun Watson is going to be undergoing season-ending shoulder surgery. I know that's all the Browns want, is to see their Brownies win the Super Bowl, and now they just got further and further away because this Deshaun Watson contract has been, quite frankly, the trade and the contract have just been bad. And now he's just when you were starting to turn the corner in the second half of that Ravens game, they come out with a big win. They move to 6-3. They're neck and neck with everyone in the AFC North. And now he has to have season-ending surgery. Ugh.
Not good.
Terrible, terrible luck for the Browns. 855-212-4CBS. And keep it coming with the greatest game winners of all time. Don't move. More Maggie and Perloff straight ahead.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world.
Carlos, what's going on with you today? Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Carlos has gone from pro wrestling calls to something else to now Cleveland Browns, REM. By the way, do you really want to add insult to injury? Guess who the Browns had on their roster preseason? You might have forgotten already because 2 trades ago, Josh Dobbs.
Oh, of course.
Was backing up Deshaun coming into the year. They're another team that doesn't have Josh Dobbs saving the season. Oh, would that have worked out? But Maggie, you'll be like to know guess who the hot name on Twitter is to bring in. Who's just sitting there?
Colt McCoy?
Not Colt McCoy. Think a little better.
Who's sitting there?
Who's at home?
Well, first we should tell people, unfortunately, if you're just tuning in, Deshaun Watson is undergoing season-ending shoulder surgery, which is why we're trying to solve the issue at the Browns quarterback position. Dorian Thompson-Robinson as a backup, P.J. Walker as a backup, a fantastic defense, maybe the best in the NFL, and you have Deshaun, who is coming off of the best half of football, Perloff, that he has put together since he was traded to the Browns. He was 14 for 14. He was doing it all with a broken bone in his shoulder and also a high ankle sprain, but he's going to have the surgery on the shoulder. His season is done. I mean, if you're a Browns fan, you just have to put your head in your hands.
You guys want to take a guess? Who are people floating for the Browns?
Tom Brady.
Yes.
Oh.
Brady is
right.
everywhere now.
That'd be
insane.
Quite a twist.
That'd be insane for him because you don't want to go into the AFC North. I know they have kind of an easy schedule, but it feels like Deshaun Watson was taking huge hits on that team. If I'm Brady and I'm 47 years old, forget it.
Yeah, we said Deshaun wasn't moving well. I mean, he was like a sitting duck in there at times. I don't know if that's a good idea.
Let's be real though. I mean, Tom Brady, there's nothing he can do to further cement his legacy except win a Super Bowl for the Cleveland Browns.
For the Browns, yeah.
If he comes out of retirement mid-season, joins the Cleveland Browns, and wins a Super Bowl, he then gets catapulted to maybe the greatest athlete ever.
First of all, he already is in some people's mind, but he definitely jumps over LeBron because, LeBron is from Akron. He's not even from Cleveland, but no, I'm just kidding. But,
oh, my God.
But the Brady thing, it would be a one-up, but he's not the one nobody cares about LeBron versus Brady. It's all LeBron versus Jordan. Now, if Jordan came back and helped Cleveland win a Super Bowl, that would be significant.
We're getting in the weeds here. The idea of seeing Tom Brady in a Browns jersey, people would think this is like a fake, deep fake, like an internet,
one of the alternate universes that EJ's talking
yeah,
about.
like this
Multiverse
an artificial intelligence somehow came up with this. It's not real.
But he did go to the Bucs. It's not like that. Going from the Patriots to the Bucs was imaginable before it happened.
You think that the Bucs and the Browns have the same reputation? The Browns are one of the saddest organizations synonymous with losing. The Bucs are just, either they have won sort of recently, I guess in the last 20 years, and they're a little bit more irrelevant. The Browns are extremely relevant, but also very cursed.
Bucs were on a huge playoff drought coming before Tom Brady. I think the Bucs and the Lions and the Bengals are the 3 losingest franchises, not the Browns. The Browns have been elite. I think the Bucs are bigger losers than anyone. No, the Creamsicles, they had the worst season for a long time.
Yeah, the Yucks, of course. But, I mean, if you're thinking about which team is synonymous
with bad luck.
With bad luck, cursed, losses,
Right.
quarterback carousels. I mean, there's a reason why there's that T-shirt that just has all the Browns quarterbacks listed on it.
What do you think the worst franchise, though, in everybody's mind is? Do you think it's
I think people probably say maybe the Lions by reputation.
Lions,
but the Browns
Cardinals,
also
Bengals.
went winless.
Yeah, but the
Winless
Browns have a lot of championships before the Super Bowl. I think you're right. No, Tom Brady in a Browns uniform sounds ludicrous, but it didn't really make sense for him to go to Tampa Bay either. I think it's an interesting opportunity because you read their schedule. It was not killer defenses. Maybe Tom looks at this and says, I can put up a good 240 against the Bears and walk away with a playoff win here.
Okay, but here's the thing. Brady also had a whole offseason. I know it was a COVID offseason, so it was weird.
No.
But an offseason, at least with the receivers, he's going to, as much as I love a Brady comeback conspiracy, this one's even too much for me. So
I know.
Browns play Pittsburgh, then at Denver, at the Rams, home Jacksonville, home Chicago, at Houston, home Jets,
Yeah, I'm liking
at Cincinnati.
I'm liking some of those matchups and disliking others. Forget the Jets. You want no part of that. But you can let Dorian Thompson-Robinson take that smoke.
And face that defense.
Denver, I'm sorry your Bills lost to Denver, but I think you can move the ball in Denver. Tom should get in there.
Tom, what are you doing, man? Off the couch. It's time. The Browns need you. This is sad, though, for Browns fans. I do feel for them because, just more bad luck. 855-212-4CBS. Now, going from losers to winners, we've been talking about the greatest game winners of all time. That is our great debate series for today. Our pal Ryan in Santa Barbara is up early. Hey, Ryan, how are you?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Fantastic. How's the wine tour business?
It's good. You guys, Tom Brady, the only time you would see Tom Brady in a Browns jersey would be his face painted, and it would be Halloween.
Tom Brady is the dog pound for a Halloween costume. It's funny.
But the greatest, the greatest game winner was, number 87, the catch, the game-winning touchdown reception in the 1981 NFC Championship game played between the Dallas Cowboys and the eventual Super Bowl winners, 49ers.
And you want to know the tie-in? Guess who attended that game as a young boy? Thomas Edward Brady. Let's hear it.
6 yards away from Pontiac. 3rd and 3. We'll see a pickup sometime on the right side, possibly. Montana looking, throwing in the end zone. Clark caught it! Dwight Clark!
Amazing.
I love it.
Ryan never gets old. So glad to hear from you, pal. Thanks for checking in and giving us that good one.
Cheers.
You got it. Vince Scully on that one, too.
Yeah, I like the ones where it kind of launches a dynasty. That certainly falls into that category. Beat the big bad Cowboys, mine the Immaculate Reception, and the EJs with MJ over Elo. I think launching, and yours in a way too with Brandy Chastain, launching the U.S. women's soccer dominance. If it's the beginning, this buzzer beater sort of unfolds into a historical epic of dominance, and that's pretty cool.
Important question, I think, on the Dwight Clark play.
Yes.
Greater throw, greater catch.
Yep, that's been one of them, right?
Like I think it's a greater throw. Back foot, too tall Jones, who's like a million feet tall.
Too tall.
Literally too tall. And you throw a dime.
Oh, are you saying it should be called the throw?
No, yeah, I'm asking, is it a greater throw or a greater
catch? I mean, because it's called the catch, I think it probably gets remembered as a great catch, but I mean, it's
There's
Montana.
so many catches, I feel like, that always get the throw always ends up kind of getting forgotten. I think that Ben Roethlisberger to Santonio Holmes, he threw a laser to the corner, and the only spot you could have thrown it, and then we think Santonio Holmes catch.
Yeah, because the tippy toe and falling out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, Eli Manning, we kind of do remember him escaping, but even that, we still think of helmet.
Yeah, it's the helmet catch.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
David
but
Tyree.
like the Hail Mary and the David Tyree catch and any kind of Hail Mary, you can't say the quarterback made a great throw.
Hail Marys, I think, are different. I think that throw, I mean, that's not a Hail Mary. That's in the red zone. You're rolling to your right, and you have a 6'9" guy literally in your face. And I don't know how you even saw Dwight Clark in the back of the end zone.
You want to know what's funny? I think maybe it's because it's not like we're shortchanging Joe Montana. It's not like he got lost in history and we're like, oh, yeah, remember who threw that? Like, we revere Joe Montana. So he still gets the flowers all the time.
It's also, if you've seen it 100 times, 99 times, you've seen the shot from the back of the end zone, and all you see is Dwight Clark going up and catching it. Like, I think I understand what the play looks like from the snap and the normal camera, but that play is shown to you as the catch.
You're right.
Giving you no time to process Montana's throw.
It is like the end zone camera view.
Yeah.
You're right about that. That probably plays a role. Speaking of controversial throws, Chris is in Boise, has got a good one. Hey, Chris, how are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
We're great. What do you got?
How about the Oakland Raiders and the San Diego Chargers with the holy roller?
What, the forward pass, was it a fumble? Here's what it sounded like.
The crowd takes up a chant of defense. Robisky and Banaszak are the backs. Slot right. Branch inside. Bradshaw, Stabler back. Here comes the rush. He sidesteps. Can he throw? He can't. The ball flipped forward is loose. A wild scramble. 2 seconds on the clock. Casper grabbing the ball. It is ruled a fumble. Casper has recovered in the end zone. The Oakland Raiders have scored on the most zany, unbelievable, absolutely impossible dream of a play. Madden is on the field. He wants to know if it's real. They said yes. Get your big butt out of here. He does.
Chris, it's so good. Thank you for bringing that up. Good to hear from you. I love it.
The 70s had the better nicknames for plays. The Holy Roller, Ghost to the Post, Sea of Hands, all that stuff. And when I was at NFL Films, every one of them gets their own half-hour special. That to me, like, you don't get that anymore. What do we call the Malcolm Butler
No,
interception?
we have Minneapolis Miracle.
Yeah.
For Case to Stephon Diggs.
We only name fights now. So, like,
What was the
Mouse to
Malcolm-
House.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Isn't that a sad
I know,
commentary on where we are?
It is what it is, right?
Yeah, but I don't think the iconic nicknames of our youth are still around. Music City Miracle was good. You need the right alliteration. That's why the Minneapolis Miracle wasn't quite as good, because you already had the Music City Miracle.
Yeah,
Yes, I know.
It's crazy because we have had some incredible games and incredible plays. I mean, the Chris Jenkins shot hasn't been named something is crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
that won a national championship.
And also, you've got like good things there. You've got that you could rhyme with Nova, Wildcats. Like, there's things you could rhyme.
Yeah, I mean, the Tyree catch has no name.
The helmet catch.
Not the helmet catch.
Yeah, but that's not
That's not a good name.
No.
I was a little surprised.
That's what it was, though. He called it off the helmet.
That's just a description of it. Like,
But
it needs,
immaculate
it needs a name.
reception, like, you would never know what that meant
That's
until
true.
you watched it. Helmet catch, you can kind of think, oh, I guess he pinned it on his helmet. Like, it's very unoriginal.
People think it got stuck right in the
Yeah,
helmet.
it's kind of like the nicknames we have with players now, like KG, KP, AD. They're all just like, oh, okay, a guy's initials. Like, we don't
Dr.
have-
Duncanstein.
Yeah,
no.
right.
I know.
But yeah, I mean, listen, like Sea of Hands, those things are all cool. What's a more? Give me one in the last 10 years that is really sticking. There's nothing anymore because they used all the good ones back in 1985. Miracle
all
on
out.
Ice. I mean,
no.
I mean, Ian Eagle gave a big Ja Morant dunk, the jawbreaker. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a memorable moment.
yeah.
Let's
no,
get back
we
to
don't
you
do
on
that anymore.
Bogish is here with headlines. So is there a memorable name for a play of the last 10 years? I think I gave you Minneapolis Miracle. But Bogish.
The other thing, too, some people call it the Minnesota Miracle. It's pretty complicated.
Yes, it's extremely complicated. Minnesota or Minneapolis? What are we calling it?
So I'm not rooting for injury, but there is some justice in the Browns getting limited return on Deshaun Watson's ridiculous, fully guaranteed contract. The QB, as you've heard, undergoing season-ending shoulder surgery. A crack in his right shoulder detected after Sunday's win over the Ravens. The team says Watson should be fully healed for next season. Meanwhile, Browns running back Nick Chubb just had his second scheduled left knee surgery. This one repaired his ACL. The first one came after a September injury in Pittsburgh and fixed his MCL, meniscus, and other parts. Now, before the Watson news, this was the lead story this morning.
Ant did not have. Jaden McDaniels and Klay Thompson are throwing punches at one another. They got to be separated. Now someone's got Rudy in a headlock. It's Draymond. Someone get that dude in a headlock.
That's Alan Horton on T-Wolves Radio speaking for most of America. That melee or Donnybrook or fracas began just 1:43 into last night's Warriors T-Wolves game. It started with Klay Thompson and Jaden McDaniels. It ended with Draymond's arm around Rudy Gobert's neck, and he would not let go. All three players ejected. Then Minnesota won 104-101 for a 7-game win streak. The Sixers' 8-game run ending with a 132-126 home loss to the Pacers. Nikola Jokic had 32 points, 16 boards, 9 assists. In the Nuggets' 111-108 decision over the Clippers, LA has now dropped 6 in a row, the last 5 with James Harden. The Pels snapping their 5-game skid, 131-110 over the Mavs. And the Thunder routed the Spurs 123-87. OKC had 19 steals, 7 from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who also scored 28. At the Champions Classic in Chicago, top-ranked Kansas fought off number 17 Kentucky 89-84. Michigan transfer Hunter Dickinson 27 points and 21 boards. In LA, number 16 USC took a 70-60 tumble against UC Irvine. The Anteaters getting 25 points from Justin Hahn. The college football playoff rankings now begin with Georgia, then Ohio State, Michigan, and FSU. The Bulldogs jumping the Buckeyes after beating Ole Miss and Mizzou. Maggie, since Perloff's not here right now, I can ask you this finally. Why does he walk so oddly? And I'm not the only one asking this question.
He walks around every break.
I know. He's a lot of walking.
He does a lot, and he's a strange walker, too, by the way. He's a very strange walk.
Like, what do you mean?
You have to see it.
I do see it, and I'm not sure if I could pinpoint it.
Yeah,
Look
at
the
foot placement. Yeah, he's duck
feet?
Yeah. The duck feet, yeah, it's not pigeon-toed. It's duck feet. It's the other way.
So they're like outward?
Out, yeah. And then he swings his right arm a lot.
So that's Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti, Al Dukes on WFAN's Morning Show. Do you want to waddle the microphone and explain yourself?
No, I have famous duck feet.
Are they famous?
Oh, yeah. People have been making fun of me for that for a long, long time.
That's so funny. I actually haven't really noticed it, but it's funny that they notice that you walk around in every break because you'd have to be walking around to notice that you're walking around.
I never see Boomer walking around, so how would he know
I
that?
think they can see you out their studio window.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's true, because you walk oftentimes to that water cooler.
Yeah, it's just like a mental break.
Right.
I didn't know people were.
I realize people are breaking their necks looking around for Perloff.
I don't like when people are watching me doing random things. Like, if you ever want to make me mad, come up to me. The worst thing, if you're eating a sandwich, someone comes up to you, hey, eating a tuna sandwich. Oh, it's the worst feeling in the world. And now that I know these guys out in the break room are watching me, I'm going to avoid that side of the.
You can't go anywhere in this place, by the way, without them knowing about it.
By the way, you're not the only person with duck feet on the show.
Who else?
Me.
Oh.
I've been told my entire life. In fact, when I played high school basketball, our coach, his nickname was Happy Feet for me because like a penguin. The way I
Oh my goodness, that would count for bullying.
Yeah, I know. I hated it, by the way.
There's science that pigeon-toed people are better athletes. Sprinters are always pigeon-toed. Duck feet slow you down for some reason.
Yes.
I think it's obvious.
Wind resistance in your feet. I always noticed that I thought athletes, some walk on their toes, and I always felt like that probably strengthens their calves, and then do that for 25 years.
Or their awesome calves lead to them walking like that.
Oh, maybe. They're just so strong.
Right.
It just lifts the heel up.
Can I, by the way, maybe I'm changing the topic here, but I have a question I was going to ask during that Minnesota Golden State fight.
Yeah.
You guys know, you've known Karl Anthony Towns a long time, right?
I first interviewed him when he was in high school.
Why is he so soft? Why did he not take a swing at Draymond? Why is he 7 feet tall, 300 pounds? Why does the highlight was on TV?
Not to get away from my feet, but why is a pro athlete soft?
He's trying. So Draymond Green has his guy Rudy Gobert in a chokehold. So Karl Anthony Towns loses his mind, is pulling on the wrong arm. He's pulling on Rudy Gobert's arm.
Yeah.
Why does he just punch Draymond Green in the face?
I love that setup, by the way. I can't get over that. It's like, it's like the Stephen A. joke. It's like, Maggie, you're a dear good friend with Karl Anthony Towns, right? Yeah. Why does he suck? Why is he the worst?
Well, I actually was thinking you too, EJ, but he's going to be a Knick someday. So
this guy better not ever put on a Knick uniform.
He's going to be a
Knick. This is exactly why he should never be a Knick. I don't think Thibodeau will love this crap, to be honest.
No, Thibodeau will be like, I can toughen him up. No.
He should be a dominant NBA center, and he just has never been that player.
I just, for this one, we're asking, like, are you sick of the Draymond antics? Because, again, now he's going to put his team in a bad situation. Perloff, you mentioned, it's not like they have this amazing depth on their team. They're still figuring out, these young guys really trying to take the torch from, Curry and Thompson and Draymond. It has not been perfect, Wiggins. But now you put yourself in an even tougher position. And I feel like the Draymond stuff is just it's getting so lame at this point. Now, sticking up for a teammate, fine, but putting Rudy Gobert in a chokehold seems a bit excessive.
And not letting go.
Not letting go, even though.
The length of it's the problem for me.
You're totally right, Bogish. And like Steve Kerr is imploring him, just let go. And he won't do it. It's like he totally snapped.
Yeah.
And like, to me, that's just like, that's like crappy tough guy stuff. That's
I
not
mean,
even cool.
Steve Kerr, he deserves culpability because in the moment he knows what he's doing is wrong. And in the post game, he's like, well, he had to because, Rudy Gobert has arms around Klay Thompson's neck, which wasn't close to remotely being true.
Yeah.
And it kind of tells the story of the Draymond Green experience, which is I think the Warriors encourage him to act crazy and do this stuff.
Well,
and
I think they encourage, but they don't ever, there's no repercussions.
Oh, I think at this point, I think that the Jordan Poole moment, I think, was a watershed moment, which is why it was such a big deal. I think they have been totally fine with this other stuff, and they say, okay, wow, this is the first time he actually hurt one of our guys, and maybe this is the line. And then we realized it wasn't because they really kind of didn't suspend him. They brought him back. They gave him an extension.
Tons of money.
They told Jordan Poole, get lost.
Right, they didn't like Jordan Poole.
Right.
It was like, who leaked this tape? It's like, is that the first question we're asking out of this?
Yeah,
or is it, why did you punch him?
But here's the thing. In the old NBA, there'd be enforcers. Karl Anthony Towns was too afraid to punch Draymond because he didn't want to hurt his right hand and get his three-point percentage down. Where is the enforcers? There were 5 T-Wolves who had a free shot. That is a rare thing in life. Okay, you could have punched Draymond, the most annoying player in the NBA, square in the chin and knocked him out for half the season. And you said, nah, I'm not going to do that.
But to be honest, I think that it says a lot about what the T-Wolves think of Rudy Gobert, who's also been a pariah on his team and punched Kyle Anderson last year.
Yep.
There's a lot of questions about can Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert fit, and can they work together? And that one of those guys eventually has to get traded, maybe both of them. And if you're Karl Anthony Towns, it's him or I. In that moment, maybe you thought, Rudy Gobert. If he's out for a couple games, it's a fine.
Listen, they've been teammates much longer and been through much more together. But you saw Draymond, as much as I dislike the behavior, someone's coming at Klay Thompson. He's flying into it to protect a teammate. You did not see that. I feel weird kind of, disparaging Karl Anthony Towns, not just because I have interviewed him before.
I'm his godmother.
Yeah, and it's not even like that. I've interviewed like 4 times. It's like nothing. But because, like, in theory, he did not escalate the situation. Draymond escalated. It feels weird for me to criticize somebody for acting like an adult.
And what does the punch, if he punches Draymond Green,
yes,
and shy of breaking his hand, but gets suspended for 5, 6, 7, 10 games,
worth it.
Is for whom? For you?
For everybody.
Not for them.
For the NBA, for the other 29 teams in the NBA who want to punch Draymond.
I think that's a team, the Timberwolves, that you look at them and you think they're soft. You think that they don't have mental toughness. And I think that Draymond Green doing this in part was because he felt like he can bully them. He was talking trash to Anthony Edwards the game before.
But think about it, right? The whole thing about the NBA, and this has been for a while, has been trying to get away from this sort of image that guys are out of control. And the Malice at the Palace was maybe the worst example
of this. That was 30 years ago.
I understand. The dress code, which was vague and weird and coded and all that stuff. Like, they've been trying. There's a reason why guys are, I think, dressing like they're walking off a catwalk. They want to project an image of, I don't know, not punching guys. Whatever the opposite of that. Finesse, skill, not, fights.
Well, I think if Draymond's going to do this, then I think the rest, I think the T-Wolves came off soft last night. And Rudy Gobert is so soft, and nobody likes him. He's obviously probably one of the top 10 most disliked NBA players. There was that COVID thing where he touched everyone's microphone, and he always finds a banana peel, but still, someone's got to step up. You know who would have took it a swing? Do you guys remember Sam Mitchell, the coach there? He's now on NBA TV.
Yes.
He was the toughest dude. That would never fly with a guy like that.
Pat Beverly probably would have taken a swing. He used to be on the Timberwolves. He might have done it.
Yeah, but Pat Beverly is more like he's a smaller, annoying guy. Yeah. You need, I think you got to fight fire with fire. If the NBA goes out light on Draymond, then the rest of the teams have to act accordingly. No, I mean,
Dylan Brooks probably would have punched him. I mean, there's guys who are agitators.
In some ways, like the NBA, in some ways needs a little bit of that baseball unwritten rule stuff. Where like. And in some ways, this Warrior thing kind of started with that. Again, it started with the issue the game before with Edwards and Draymond going back and forth. So in the first box out, I think Jaden McDaniels, who's 170 pounds, but I think he tried to kind of send a message a little bit, and he checks Klay Thompson,
right.
And that kind of starts this whole thing. But as we saw, when it came to real fisticuffs, nobody on the Timberwolves seemed to want to do anything remotely important.
Think about the Knicks Heat. That got so heated that little Jeff Van Gundy bit Alonzo Mourning in the leg or something. I mean, that is
or something.
He was hanging on.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Danny Ainge bit Tree Rollins.
Like, well,
Yeah, or did
Jeff
Tree
Van
Rollins
Gundy.
bite Danny Ainge? Like
Did
back in the
Alonzo
day.
Mourning.
Oh, he was hanging on, right?
Yeah.
But you guys remember Tree Rollins and Danny Ainge fight? That was the 80s.
Sometimes Perloff makes me think that I was like blacked out for stuff. I'm like,
No, I mean I got confused. The fights look similar. Do you know the Tree Rollins?
I don't actually. I know who each individual person is, but I don't know that they fought.
Tree Rollins is a player coach. 855-212-4CBS. Don't see that much anymore, right? 855-212-4CBS. Okay. Got a lot to do. Bogish, thank you. Deshaun Watson, now done for the season. Shoulder surgery. Just more bad luck for the Browns. This is tough. Great defense. Is the season lost? Who knows? We got that. We have the great debate series going on today. The greatest game winners of all time. Send us your walk-offs, your buzzer beaters, your memorable moments. We get back to it next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time to play the game. Time to play the game.
Little Triple H for you. Giving you some pro wrestling theme music because Draymond Green looked like he was in the squared circle last night, but it was real life. Putting Rudy Gobert in a chokehold in a dust-up. A lot going on today. We've been talking about the Draymond Green, the fight last night between the Warriors and the Timberwolves. We've been talking about Deshaun Watson, Perloff. Season-ending shoulder surgery for the Browns quarterback. Turns out after the game, he had MRI for a high ankle sprain, which he has, but also had already been dealing with some discomfort, and then a play in the first half, they didn't say which one, basically broke a bone in his shoulder, even though he played the whole second half and was brilliant in the second half.
Yeah, this hurts so much because they've beat Baltimore. We're in great position, have the easiest schedule in the AFC North. Now, what do? They screwed this up a few weeks ago. Well, they screwed up several times. They let Josh Dobbs go as his backup. Was that one of those situations where the starter didn't want a certain backup there? Because they traded him for a 5th-round pick. Did they really need to do that to have, P.J. Walker and Dorian Thompson-Robinson, a rookie out of UCLA?
Wait, do you think Deshaun Watson was threatened by Josh Dobbs?
I just don't know why you got rid of Josh Dobbs. Why did you not have it? I mean, Watson's been hurt on and off. Why didn't you not have a veteran back
Well,
there?
I think they saw Dorian Thompson-Robinson played a little bit in the preseason and looked pretty good, and I thought that's what it was. I didn't think that it was because Deshaun's got a $230 million contract. Why would he ever be threatened by Josh Dobbs, the Pastronaut?
I don't know. I have no idea. I just can't understand why with the injuries, especially when he hurt his shoulder early in the season. I know they brought in P.J. Walker, and I guess that's enough, but I think they're going to regret this. Do regret not making a move earlier in the right around the trade deadline. They should have brought in bring Jacoby Brissett back. Do something.
855-212-4CBS. We've also been doing the Great Debate Series, which we do on Wednesdays. Today, the greatest game winners of all time. Walk-offs, buzzer beaters, whatever you got. Isaiah is in Boise. Good morning, Isaiah. I think I know where you're going with this one.
Yeah, I got to go with the one that puts us on the map in the college football history, with the Ian Johnson Statue of Liberty play. There was 2 other plays that set that up, the Tyler Shoemaker touchdown from Vinny Peretta, and also the hook and ladder to end regulation for the tie for the Gerard Rapp touchdown. Those for us here are infamous and what put us on the map and where we're still thriving to be. And as of late, as just Andy Avalos' soul still looming over the stadium, around here.
Well, Isaiah, we want to play so we've got, you mentioned that game, 2007 Fiesta Bowl. Isaiah, thank you for the call. So incredible. The hook and lateral. And then, of course, we've got the 2-point conversion, the Statue of Liberty.
With some type of run pass option going to the right. Boise State for the win. They hand it off to Johnson. Boise State has won the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. Can you believe it?
Chris Peterson, all-time gutsy call, beats the Sooners. Craziness. Let's get to our shot of the day.
He shoots!
The shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. Today's shot of the day, a little snapshot of the show. We were shocked to learn that Perloff could have been at 2 all-time great game-winning moments and chose not to be.
I also had tickets to the Chris Jenkins game and did not go.
What?
Oh, my gosh. You got to be kidding me.
Well, we were down. I can't remember. That was in some huge stadium. I'm blanking where it was in 2016. The game before, Villanova beat Buddy Hield in Oklahoma by 100 points. And I was like, you know what? Villanova's going to kill him in the final. Again, I'm sorry. I don't even remember who they played when the buzzer beater.
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah. I was so confident. It wasn't a great North Carolina team that I flew home because I could have stayed an extra day for Villanova. No, the Leitner thing haunts me a little bit. It was at the Spectrum, the old Spectrum in Philadelphia. And I saw Grant Hill basically save Duke's season the game before against Connecticut, I think. Yeah, I screwed up. There's nothing else to say.
Wow. Wow. That's a rough one. Me coming in with the solid commentary.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know Christian Leitner was going to hit a last-second shot off of Grant Hill. If anyone had told me that, I would have gone. By the way, can someone research? I can't remember if Duke beat Seton Hall or UConn or both to get to that game.
We will do that research, and we will have that for you. Now, we've been talking about why great game winners don't have nicknames anymore. Mike is in Tucson, has one that's pretty recent. Hey, Mike, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. What do you have?
Mile High Miracle, one of the best AFC Championship games. The Denver Broncos with Peyton Manning versus the elite Joe Flacco when the Ravens won the Super Bowl.
It was great. Mike, you're right. The Mile High Miracle. We said Minneapolis Miracle, but Perloff didn't love that one because...
This is a bunch of miracles. Music City Miracle, Mile High Miracle, Minneapolis Miracle.
Great plays. You're asking for great plays with good nicknames in the last 10 years. This is awesome. You guys were phenomenal on the phones. I'm sorry we couldn't get to everybody. So many great game winners. Thank you to EJ Stewart, to Carlos Ortiz. You guys were awesome grabbing these highlights. Thank you for that. To Andrew Bogish, to Andrew Kaplan, Guido's Coffee Drinkers, everyone in the chats today. You guys were on point. We appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow.
You're in a 5-minute break.